Welcome everybody to the Grayson Allen 15K Invitational presented by Turtle Beach. It's T Squared and we got my boy Proper, the captain here. Proper, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Tom. It's a pleasure to be on the broadcast with you with such a stacked lineup of all these 20 teams that we get to cast over today. It's going to be a baller day.
Dude, it is like an ALGS finals. If you know a team, if you know a player, they are in here playing in this 15K. And hey, big shout out to Grayson Allen. Big shout out to Turtle Beach. Big shout out to all of our sponsors. Big shout out to you watching at home. And for everybody that's putting this on the production team behind the scenes as well, shout out to you guys as well. It's going to be one heck of a day. Hey, we know Grayson's jumper is pretty smooth, Proper. The Apex server is not so much today.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're all relying on, right? I mean, you got people all across the globe. We got people from New Zealand. We got people from the UK. Household names like Shiv is playing in this tournament, and across the pond, they're already battling enough latency as it is, too, that they got to go up against the servers and some other household teams that have been running it as far as North America is concerned, including G2 and TSM. It's gonna get interesting. It might get weird.
G2's hot, NRG's hot, Shiv is always hot. The dude's like the ultimate warrior, so I'm surprised he doesn't come through with face paint coming through. He's not going to be worried about the lag. We know how Shiv's coming in with the war cries. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how he plays, but we talked about it. $15,000 Proper is up for grabs. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rules, pricing, and a little bit at the format because we're keeping it true and tried to that typical ALGS format where you're going through and you're placing first place and you're getting 12 points plus your elimination points throughout all that. Not that bad of a bag for the day, Proper. $6,000 to first place.
No, not bad at all. The format, much like you said, is household, if you will. You know, you get that one kill per elimination for your team. First place walking away with those 12 points. That's what you're mostly going to be looking after for these very tight end zones, as well as these 3 players per each of these squads will be just duking it out for, like you said, I mean, this is a very healthy prize pool for a very fun day of Apex Legends.
We're sticking on World's Edge. We're only playing 5 games overall, and we're playing on these custom Apex lobbies that Respawn was able to hook us up with, these high-end lobbies, I guess you would say, for these type of tournaments, because there is a lot of moolah up for grabs, and I'm looking forward to seeing what type of team compositions are going to come in, what the current meta is going to be like for all of these players, and how everyone's adapted as we get ready for the ALGS that's coming up around the corner.
Yeah, hey, I'm glad that you brought up, Jay, just the Legends in general. I mean, the meta has been shifting, you know, where a lot of people were not necessarily playing the game, but they were also, you know, playing around with a lot of different pubs trying to figure out what Legends might be good. I know that Sweet's been playing or been looking a lot more Valkyrie as well, so we might just be seeing some very interesting turns coming in toward a lot of compositions as well. But let's take a look at that ALGS format. Make sure that you do stay tuned for the upcoming Apex Legends new season, as you see here on your screen.
Yeah, the Pro League's coming through. We got the splits coming through as well. And hopefully we're going to start seeing some live events that are going to be taking place in 2020 as we get over this pandemic. I can't wait to see everybody in person. That's going to be extremely exciting because, you know, speaking of live events, we saw TwitchCon got announced today. We saw San Diego and Amsterdam. Both of those events were actually canceled last year. So looking at those underway, but also looking forward to getting back into major Apex and major competition here as we move into ALGS 2.0 basically, and you can see the dates right there. We've already started the qualification process. It was Team Intel, aka Dude's Night Out. If you have not seen Verholz play Valkyrie, well, you better check him out. And you're talking about Valkyrie, I think that's going to be a very strong legend going forward. When you combine that with, say, someone like Caustic, you're getting in hands, and you're also making sure that you're locking things down and getting priorities by having AoE with the barrels. We're not quite sure if Sear's going to continue to be strong like he was before the patch, but we saw a couple of changes, obviously, with the updates that came through. Hemlock Hipfire, I believe, was increased a little bit. L-Star was changed. A couple minor changes here and there to the maps as well. Proper, who's your go-to legend? I'm curious.
Well, I'm a dirty Wraith main. I'm not gonna lie. I do love me some Wraith. I know that Octane is still much preferred when you're talking about some of these mobile heroes. Valkyrie is there as well. When it comes down to other legends, when I used to compete at a very amateur level, I played a lot of Watson as well. I love what Watson brings to the table as far as just locking down. You almost have to respect when you do see that Watson setup. Now that's of Shades past, all the way back when we were just competing on King's Canyon. And I'm glad that you brought up the Caustic because you almost have to respect that when you are seeing a Caustic setup, say in one of these bar buildings here on World's Edge, you're not going to all in that team. And when you are coupling that with a Valkyrie as well, another great composition that we might just see a lot today, that's when a lot of teams can get a little silly. They can go all in on a lot of teams as well, especially when you do have that Gibraltar on top of it, the Dome, on top of the Noxus gas. Dude, it's going to get really crazy. It's going to be fun.
I really think Gibraltar is definitely a staple in that. And going back to the old school meta, like you were talking about, you saw my desktop background as we were setting up at the pregame show. You saw my Watson
we love
that
Watson.
Was coming through there. It's a pretty badass background. But I'm also looking forward to seeing what people are playing in terms of the old school compositions too, because if you're not running that, are you going to continue to still run Octane with the jump pad kind of being nerfed? And it's still pretty strong, but you also have the stem going down as well. So Octane maybe not going to be as strong. Curious to see if G2 is going to still bring that to the table, because they're running Wraith, Octane, and Gibraltar. Who's going to be able to adapt? Who's going to be able to play Valkyrie? Who's going to be able to adjust through the meta as we go forward? That's going to be the big question that we see. Obviously, there's a lot of big favorites out here. We talked about G2. We talked about TSM. Who do you think could be a dark horse team to look out for?
It's really hard to call even like a dark horse. I mean, with such a stacked group of individuals. I mean, with Space Station Gaming being here, Drop, Frex, Zenial. I mean, that's a nasty team within its own self. Don't be careful getting close range with those guys. But I'm mostly looking at Sentinels right now. I mean, Sanoke's Crust playing with Lou. That team just on paper alone is devastating enough. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to win a gunfight in a rank lobby versus any one of those players, and I get absolutely smoked. I honestly am just excited to be able to see what that team is able to bring to the table, especially with how high octane, no pun intended, Lou is able to communicate for a lot of these rotations. The dude's brain, it just goes giga at certain instances of time, especially on this map.
I've seen the communication continue to evolve over and over again. You know, I was watching Snipe down in TSM last night when they were communicating. They're taking it very seriously when they're going playing ranked. But one of the teams that I'm really looking forward to, I guess it's two teams, not really dark horse teams, but the way that they continue to battle it out, especially with the team change that came through, is Liquid and C9. Obviously, with Albrelli going on over to C9, you have Naughty and Zach there. I feel like if they start to run on all cylinders, they're a team to watch. You have Liquid with Fun Flanker and Nocturnal. You also have Coach Hodsick behind the helm as well. I think that he's a big brain player, and he's going to be bringing a lot of knowledge as we continue to go update after update. So there's a lot of really great teams in here, but also another team to watch out for, a team with a lot to prove, would be Knock Madness and Rambo, newly formed team Benchwarmers. I believe they're still looking for an org as well. So if you're a team that's looking to possibly sign somebody, there's a lot of good talent in this lobby. Yeah,
Madness. You brought up Zach. Hal is obviously in here with TSM. There's so many just great IGLs, just great overall aggressive players, and they're all just completely rounded out by having such amazing supporting roles around them. Especially when you did bring up Albert Laley, how they've been, going back and forth from a couple teams when they did step down from the TSM main team and then went into content creating, then came back. Their legend pool just goes so deep. And that's what you're almost going to have to look at when we've been going on these certain tangents of not having certain lengths of competition for the Apex scene. While they're still figuring out what might just be the best composition to be able to work, we might just see it, the meta just come into a bitter light in front of our very eyes today, Tom.
Yeah, and we're all putting this together for obviously one reason, to see some great Apex. So that means we have to also give a shout out to the person that's putting this whole thing on, Grayson Allen. I'm stoked to actually get an interview with him proper. Me and you are going to be talking to him after game one, which is still getting ready. So stick with us as we get that one underway. But you can also, thanks to Turtle Beach, use the code Grayson Allen and get 10% off of your Turtle Beach headsets, which are pretty dope as well. Big shout out to BLT and also Protege for our other sponsors as well. We're getting game one underway, and I want to get your predictions in terms of what do you think the highest kill is going to be today? What do you think the highest kill mark in terms of a team getting kills? What do you think that's going to be?
I'm honestly looking at G2 to drop a 20+ bomb just off the rip. Within games 1 and 2, that's the squad that you always got to watch out for in these early games, just to get wily, get aggressive. If they can get those point values early, that's the G2 special. Even when you are playing in a standard ALGS style, that when you do get on that match point, that's when you see them start to turtle up a little bit more. But they're not afraid to get aggressive. They're not afraid to get in your face with their legend compositions. I'm expecting G2 to drop massive numbers. You were bringing up what TSM was also bringing to the table last night. I was also watching some of Snipe Down stream as well, and they were getting pretty wily and aggressive. We know that Hal loves to be able to push these engagements, and so long as they do have the backup from their team, they might be able to rival some of those very aggressive numbers that G2 can put on the board.
I think it's really fun to watch both those two teams play, and I think they have to be favorites going forward. I think NRG definitely is a team that demands respect. Sentinels is a team that comes out swinging. That's a team that you mentioned before. I really think that those are the two most aggressive teams in terms of just taking fights and watching them play. And I think that's what you have to expect here, because there's a couple of teams that are going to be forcing action, right? A couple of thrown together teams, like we mentioned, Shiv is coming into play. G-Dolphin's coming to play as well. The EU boys, they're aggressive, and they're going to be throwing a wrench over here in terms of how this thing's going to be played. But there's two different play styles, right? Well, I guess there's a couple. You could play the edge and make your way in. That's something that G2 does very well because they're dropping over towards Thermal Station. You have a play style like TSM where they're landing over towards Fragment East. And yeah, even if the zone pulls over towards them, they're going to leave that spot and go and try to find kills and chokes and hold different unorthodox angles and then push their way over towards the zone. And then you kind of have that just play in the middle, play safe, and try to get all those type of placement points. Me, I would say I like to play the edge and make my way in. I like the way that G2 plays. What do you think?
I hate being in the center of the zone. I absolutely despise it.
It's too boring.
It's boring, but it's also way too stressful at the same point in time. Because once you start getting to, like, say, ring 2 or 3, you're now just dealing with, teams like G2, like we were talking about, starting to work those outer edges of the ring and just waiting for teams to work their way in. But they're also shooting you in the middle of the map as well. You're not safe by any stretch of the imagination because, take TSM, for example. We know that they're going to be dropping Fragment. What if it does pull towards Fragment? If they don't get the loot that they're looking for and they're getting shot from all sorts of angles and they're starting to run out of heals, how many times have we seen that happen from TSM and from other teams in their perspective, just completely lose out because they are completely exhausted from ammo, weaponry, heals, and everything else? I think that playing the edge is definitely the smarter, and that's what a lot of these compositions are more or less based around, especially when we're talking about the Valkyrie, the Caustic, and especially the Gibraltar. You can really force your way in towards rotations when you're trying to take a certain building to get in towards the next ring, and that's what we're mostly looking at for a lot of these teams, and when they are trying to manipulate a lot of these different POIs to be able to not only stay safe, but also to be able to find those kill point values while also trying to get towards that first place victory.
And you'll notice when teams are playing the edge, you really have to play the outskirts of the edge. And that's one of the things that G2 does extremely well. They're just constantly looking for fights and you'll forget about them. And then all of a sudden when things blow up, it really does. So when you watch these high level, basically ALGS finals type lobbies, things slow down really, really slow to begin with. I mean, maybe you'll have some 50-50s off the rip and then things will kind of adjust, but you could expect maybe 17, 18 teams going into zone number 3, which makes things extremely intense. And then right when you move into zone number 3 and zone number 4, that's when that edge play really starts to come into fruition, when teams start taking fights and then you kind of sneak out of the woodworks and then pick up your kills.
Yeah, and that, honestly speaking, that is what's both damning and both very fun to be able to watch from a lot of different teams' perspectives. That's where you do get a lot of these teams that maybe you at home you're not very familiar with and why they're able to come out on top. That Stunny is one of the names not competing in today's competition, I believe, but you go back into the ALGS circuit when they did come out on top. That's exactly what they were able to do. We're able to pick and choose their engagements while also playing on the edge of the ring to the competition or to their composition strength, and then taking the fights there on after as well. But as the lobby is being recreated, I do believe right now, I also want to point in a direction for a lot of interesting talking points as well, because we talked about Shiv, we talked about a lot of different legend compositions. Shiv really only plays one legend these days. We know this. We know it. The Bangalore is
these days are all days.
Well, he did play a lot of Pathfinder. I mean, in the meat and potatoes of the Apex career of Shiv, there was a lot of Pathfinder that was played when he was playing in these high-octane competitions, but we know he's going to force the Bangalore, and I think that is going to add a certain element that a lot of teams aren't going to be very used to. I mean, we see it happening in ranked from time to time. You can't necessarily say that that's going to be one-to-one when it comes down to a custom lobby competition, but, a good Bangalore ult, one of those barrages comes down, even a smoke in the right place at the right time can absolutely screw over a lot of teams as far as rotations are concerned when you are throwing that monkey wrench into the courts.
Bangalore, love watching Shiv play it. Hate watching the random on my team when I'm searching ranked games play it, because it's like, yeah, those smokes are great, except when your teammate is smoking everywhere where you're trying to actually see and you're actually trying to save him. I can't tell you how many times I've had a Shiv wannabe on my team, but no one does it better in terms of playing Bangalore, and it's awesome to watch him play. And if you're going to model your gameplay after anybody, it might as well be him, because he is just an absolute beast. And again, we're talking about adding aggression into the lobby, continuing to, play with a certain pace. That's going to really open stuff up. So I'm expecting a lot of fights. But the one thing is everyone's going to know which team you're on once you see those smokes, once you see that artillery strike going down as well. So it's going to be really fun to watch and see how everybody goes and executes. And we also have Nicewig in the lobby, recently signed to 100 Thieves. I love to see him come and play. I'm curious to see what type of team composition they're going to bring to the table, because we know that he's played a wide variety of legends throughout all of his competitive career.
He's playing with Aprizi too. That's a nasty duo to be able to play with. We know that Aprizi has also been subbing in when Reps was visiting family with TSM through a lot of different competitions where you're looking at the E series or whatever was being competed. So as well, it's just one of those things that when you're looking at these pickup squads, if you will, what can they bring to the table? I mean, Icewig has been a household name for Apex Legends since season 0, so it's just very nice to be able to see them not only be signed by a very loving org of 100 Thieves, but to be also bringing it into the competition, because Nicewig is no slouch when it comes down to in-game leadership, knowing rotations, being able to read zones. We saw that all the way back at the Poland Invitational way back when, and it's something that's been able to stick through for Nicewig. I mean, yeah, they've been bouncing around for a couple of different teams and a couple of different members, but when you are able to slot in one good teammate for another, it's all just plug and play for them as well. And the same thing could be talked about when you're talking about Team Liquid. Again, no more Albert Laley, now you're playing with Fun. The same thing could be slotted in when you are playing with Knock and Flanker. You already brought up that Hot Sick, the big brain behind the plays for Team Liquid as well, just to be able to lead these guys into absolute glory. We've seen it happen through a lot of different teams as well. Somebody is going to upset somebody throughout the entirety of the day, Tom, and I'm just here for it.
I'm here for it too, and I'm also here for those big games like you're talking about. You think G2 is going to do it? It's hard to bet against G2 as well. Yeah, I think that they're going to be coming out swinging as well. But also, look out for Urice and their squad, the former Alpine squad. I'm not quite sure if they're still signed with them, but Arcan, Hill, and Urice, always not only one of the most fun teams to watch, but also the most entertaining on Twitter. These guys are absolutely hilarious, so be sure to go and give them a follow. We also have Complexity, who we can't really talk about enough because I can't wait to see them get back into their old form. Monsoon, one of the best players that we have in North America, but you also have Shiny and Reptar back behind them. I'm curious to see what they're going to do to kind of get back into their final form, because they were originally one of those teams where you just couldn't stop talking about them, and I want to be able to not stop talking about them because they're so damn fun to watch.
Yeah, I remember casting a rival Kate kill race back, I think it was like season 1, and Monsoon was playing with Reptar at the time, just trying to get as many kills as possible, as kill race tournaments typically go. But I mean, the things that Monsoon does on the map itself, just through movement, through gunplay, regardless of whatever weapon they find, it's absolutely sublime to be able to watch. The dude is absolutely a trailblazer for how a lot of these different instances are being played out, and I'm absolutely right there with you to be able to see Complexity come back into their own. Reptar, of course, the original Pumpkinhead, the original Bloodhound player, of course, being able to bring that into the mix. iShiny, we know what they can do as far as IGL and being able to keep Monsoon and Reptar in check as best as they possibly can, but they're the Gibraltar that brings everything together. When iShiny was able to play with Monsoon and Reptar way back when in that ALGS tournament, everything started clicking so much better for this team. It's almost like patented aggression coming out from Complexity. You have everything that you want, in your face aggression from Monsoon and Reptar, and then iShiny is just in the back, just G7 scouting yourself to oblivion. It's so fun.
And then you still have, again, the teams that are trying to qualify for the actual Pro League going to the ALGS 2.0. One of those teams would be Noble, who fell just short going up against Dudes Night Out. That's going to be Rakadishu, Farmer Lucas, and Impulsive Dream. Rakadishu is one of those players who's always been extremely underrated, but when I was playing in games, he was always just a handful in these lobbies, whether he was playing Gibraltar or something else. I feel like he's definitely one of the stronger Gibraltars that we have in North America, so I'm looking forward to seeing if they can not only, cash out today and place really well, but how they're going to go and use this today to apply themselves going forward for when they got to go and qualify for that ALGS.
Yeah, this is almost kind of, I know that scrims haven't been at an all-time high, given the unfortunate circumstances that we've been dealing with as an Apex Legends community with the servers and such, but, this is, again, where a lot of teams are going to be able to not only get back into that feel, when we were talking about what Complexity is able to offer, what other teams are playing in this type of caliber of a tournament for the first time as well, to be able to get a good feel going in towards those qualifiers for ALGS as well, because it's still a decent amount of time in between now and then to be able to truly figure out what the composition's going to be. We might see a couple more patches. I mean, who are we kidding? It's Apex Legends. Something's going to get nerfed, something's going to get buffed along the way, and it could end up throwing a giant wrench into the entire system. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into game number 1, Tom. World's Edge again for all 5 game modes inside our Discord. We also had the pleasure of seeing where everybody is going to be dropping, but that doesn't mean that us as casters just know. Your enemies know it too.
Who is capping and who is telling the truth is the real question, though. I would be trolling sometimes. You never really know what these players are going to do, but it's all about getting that landing spot, owning that landing spot, and doing something with it as we see where the hot spot is going to be over towards Climatizer. Loving that we have the mini map up right now so we could see where everybody's going. Shiv, Serial, and his squad making the way over towards Overlook. TSM busting out the composition that we discussed, and I'm so happy to see this being adapted because as we were talking about the metas over the last couple of weeks, over the last month or so, I feel like Team Intel Dudes Night Out has it figured out. It's almost like fashion where, you know, if you're from a small town in America, you're not going to be getting the fashion as the big cities. And I feel like sometimes that's what it's like over in EU. The NA players just get the meta a little bit later sometimes.
They really do. I mean, North America has notoriously been the region that tries to force a meta for way too long. Us as a region, have been, even when Watson saw that nerf after Season 2, it's just been trying to play it for such a long time. But you can see that TSM, they're not alone here in Fragment. This has been a big plague for them that when they are contested on the opposite side of Fragment, that they tend to struggle because they don't get all the loot in the world, and they also have to force a rotation as well. It's going to be complexity on the opposite side. You can see Reptar is on the Loba, Monsoon on their Patent Wraith, and then Shiny on the Jibby. So the lay of the land is truly theirs. I mean, you can force rotations with the bubble. I mean, the black market is also really nice towards that late game, but you got to get there first.
One of the teams that's always pushing the meta, it's going to be Alliance, Hackies, Yuki, and Vapes. Hackies, one of the best players that I've ever gone up against by far. And he usually was on that Wraith, now switching on over and going with that composition that we were talking about, a fully stacked 30-30, EVA 8 in the back pocket. Zone not that far as well. So Alliance really liking the position that they're in.
Yeah, you can see it just slightly on the mini-map too. That the next upcoming zone for ring number 2, just outside of Lava City, kind of pulling a little bit closer towards what used to just be storage as well. But I mean, you can see as well for Los Jefes, just inside a dome. This is where the rotation going in towards ring number 2 now might just be interesting, and this is what I love to see, especially out from KNG. You pick up a couple snipers, you know that there's going to be a couple players on the rotation. Solid shots out of Onmu. Only crack the shields for now, but it's a double-edged sword, right? I mean, you're dealing damage, you're getting resources out of the enemy team while you're building up those Evos.
And we have to mention, I mean, didn't see them in our notes, but Kagarna, these are the champions, by the way. ALGS Season 1 North America champions walking away with a hefty fistful of cash. Congratulations again to Scurry, Vayne, and Amu. Let's see if they can repeat in 2.0, and let's see if they can continue to stick it out with the current changes in the meta. They've adapted. I really, again, believe that this is probably one of the strongest compositions that you can have. Here's the thing, though, Proper. When you add more caustics into the lobby, you kind of fall off because you're not expecting that random caustic to run through your gas and just get you when you're least expecting it. So now NRG, they're running that composition, that older composition, I guess you can say. Is it out of style? Hopefully not.
It's the tried and true composition.
The tried and true composition.
I mean, obviously, you know, the Dimensional Rift, the portal, if you will, it does bring a lot to the table. You can see Sentinels in their composition. Crust is on that Valkyrie, Sanox is on the Wraith, and Lou on that Gibraltar. So they have a lot more mobility, but when it comes to overall setup, they are lacking that caustic. They can be all in pretty easily by a Noxus Gas ultimate when it does come towards that point in time. Still a full healthy lobby. Nobody's dropped yet. Not a whole lot of gunfights minus what we saw. Kangarna just throwing a couple longbow shots down towards that dome area, but nice Wigs team. Going to be in a little bit of engagement here right outside of Landslide. Just going to take a couple of shots from Cody, and they're just going to dive right back into the tunnel.
They are still with Alpine. You can never let these guys go. Alpine, they're just too funny.
Love it.
Honestly, love watching them play. They have Sync coming in, and they also are rocking the Crypto, one of my favorite legends to go and see because it's so difficult to utilize in these high-skilled lobbies. And again, where are you going to set up with that Crypto? You need a lot of cover, and you need to have a lot of experience. So we'll see exactly what Hill's going to be able to do with Urice on the Wraith, Sync on the Gibraltar as well. The zone looks like it's moving over towards Dome, and that's why you saw teams like Sentinels posturing over towards the inside of the eggshells. That's going to be one of those zones very similar to Thermal Station, where if you're not in, you're out, and you're going to be forced through a lot of different chokes. Alpine's going to be one of those teams that has to make a long trek.
Yeah, and they're going to be rotating through a lot of teams as well through their starting positions. I mean, we know that TSM complexity, they're going to be long gone. Quickly swap over towards Kangarna. will lose Vayne for the time being. What can you do? Eva 8 Scree just trying to keep their life on move, doing everything they possibly can, but the Arcstar will end up bringing them down to half HP. They want to challenge this. The communication's got to be there that the enemy team has to be a little weak, but looking to reset just momentarily, trying to get out with their life. Can they do it? No, they can't. It's Renegades to clean things up.
There's a third party right there, and I think Congarna's like, why would they go and push us right there? They would have to know that another team is going to come. This spot, it's just such a good spot to go and hold. You would think with a Caustic it's going to be enough, but Renegades coming through with the clean third party. You can see G2 making their way through as well. Scans are going to come through. Sentinels trying to make a portal play throughout all of this, but it's just going to be for show for now, as Vaxilon going to back these players off here. 15 seconds to the next scan. That should scare a couple players off as well, but we saw what it's like when a team goes and pushes this. Renegades have to keep their head on a swivel.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's so many doors that you just got to be aware of, too. And you can see with Renegade's composition, there's no Caustic, so you don't have the pleasure of utilizing those barrels to at least know that there's going to be an enemy pushing those doors. So keeping your head on a swivel, an absolute must as we take a look at bench warmers. See what they can do over here towards the climatizer, but even still, it's just one of those positions, regardless of how much armor, no matter how much loot that you have, it's just so open. There's so many different buildings within this one POI that you're going to get shot from.
And there go the Season 1 champs. It's going to be G2 taking them out in 19th place. So two teams already being taken down as C9 getting into a little skirmish. Shirl's going to find two. He's got the L-Star. He's got the Eva 8. He's looking for more blood in the triple kill. Can he finish it off? Horizon going to steal the montage clip as the res comes back on a Shiv. The armor swap coming through as well. It's a good teammate. Hey, steals a montage clip, but he's there for you.
It's time to build montages later on in pubs, Tom. Let's go ahead and just win the tournament first and foremost. But it would have been a nasty Twitter clip nevertheless, as the zone is starting to close on in. This is just ring one. You're able to tank this for a certain amount of time, and before you really starting to force your way to the rotation, as we take a look at Alliance yet again. Back dome side, and this is what we almost expected from this composition of with Valkyrie, Caustic, and Jivvy. Just play the edge of ring, take engagements when you can. A lot of long-range weaponry across all three of these players.
So you're telling me you would rather have $6,000 than a Twitter post?
It depends on the engagements.
We'll see. That one would have got a few thousand for Serial, but either way, great play there, great push. And you still see the L-Star being extremely strong. Still seeing the Eva 8, even with the minor nerf, being the choice of shotgun for the most part as well. Really kind of depends if you want to go and play aggressive with that thing and get in your face, or maybe you're playing on the Gibraltar and you want to go and have the ADS Mastiff PK could suit you a little bit better in these bubble fights. But now you're starting to see where a lot of these teams are setting up. Noble's in that same kind of book where we talked about they're in the middle of the zone, but basically in shambles. You see two gray armors and a purple, as Alliance is going to do us a big favor and hit the next scan for us.
You can see reps all the way in the top right of your screen, just right below that banner. I mean, TSM, they had to have hit the hefty rotation. Now, of course, you do have the Sky Reach ultimate from the Valkyrie to make that a little bit easier to be able to put yourself on the way to the backside of the zone, but that puts a lot of pressure towards a lot of these teams. Like you were saying, you take a look at some of the armors, especially for Gunch. I mean, they're sitting there on a gray armor. Depending on their weaponry, they can start building this up, but I mean, how many poke engagements do you truly want to take? If you were the first ones here, especially in Dome, like Los Jefes, you're probably not going to have all of the heals in the world, and it's not exactly an easy thing to scurry out from this building and go find more.
I like the position where you can see Dolphin and squad set up over towards the back. They have all of the action in front of them, as long as nobody really Valkyries in. And that's one of the things proper that you got to be a little bit worried about right now. I don't think the teams understand how many Valkyries are actually in this lobby. There's probably a lot more than everybody was anticipating. It's totally a play. And a lot of times you're going to see teams flying in, maybe even at the end game, taking these yellow containers, any type of high ground that you can get. If it pushes more over towards the eggshells, maybe getting on top of the eggshells as well. RIG Rig, one of those teams without very good armor, they're also on the edge. I would consider this shambles.
Got a lot of heals, though, if you are Templex with this G7 Scout. Tried and true Ranger 3X scope on it, too. So, I mean, you can take a lot of good poke engagements. You could more than less just try to guarantee yourself at least a blue armor, giving yourself just a little bit more of a health pool, as you could take a look at the rotation coming out from launch site itself. But There's still a lot of teams, a lot of open land that you got to be aware of where a lot of these tight-knit areas are going to be played out. And I'm glad that you brought up, especially with the Valkyrie ultimate to be played in for late game. I mean, even using Valkyrie's passive to be able to take an off angle on one of these high grounds for the rocks, those eggshells that you were talking about as well, could be pivotal depending on the engagement, of course.
Ballsy play here from Hill getting inside of his drone while he's out in the open, and you can see almost punished right there from Hell coming through. Reps is on the outskirts with Snipe down there, locking things down. A very common area for TSM to go and hold. They even hold this when the zone's going to actually pull over here, so they're completely aware of where they need to go and watch. And right now, Alpine, they're not in that good of a spot because you can see TSM's got them pinched. They have another team that's inside of the cave, and if anyone wants to make their way up that hill too, they are just going to be scrambling for position.
They're in towards the next zone, so they'll mostly going to be looking towards their backs for the upcoming rotation once we get to about ring 4. But this is where I guess you are lucky. You know, you're not in exactly the greatest situation, but if you can all in on a team, especially with the EMP from the Crypto, that's where you're going to be feeling pretty darn comfortable with the shielding from the defensive dome. But again, these open areas, charge rifles, long bows, even the L-Star at certain ranges as well, it will absolutely take a toll towards your healing and towards those shields as well. You got to be careful for all of these teams that are in and around of this choke area just outside.
Looks like Fun's going to get the finish right there on to Nicewig as Reptar is taking a lot of damage. He's going to have to lob a Q right on out of there. Shiny also eating it as Monsoon has to hit a battery. Hopefully no grenades make their way inside. Just shots coming from all over the place. Someone closed the door. The breeze is coming through and let Shiny in as well. Good thing they're going to have that black market there to continue to get heals up because they're going to need them after that. It's a tough situation to be in, but a great job by our observers showing what team was right next to where Alpine was. That was going to be the Benchwarmers, and you saw Madness setting pings down on teams in Lava City. That area is getting heated right now, proper.
Oh, it absolutely is, too. Yeah, I mean, you have so many different corners to play on, but a lot of different angles, once you try to peek them, are going to be just be looked at from a lot of different angles. G7 Scouts, charge rifles, as you can see, Shiny again, just going for a little shopping spree through that black market. This is the one thing that I highlighted most importantly for that composition. Yeah, you don't have the caustic to lock down these situations, but you almost got to respect it just because you know it's complexity.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And they have a feeling that this is just a team of two, as they know that Nicewig was taken out. So it's just a matter of time of when they're going to go and make this play, because they want to pick up these kills. They want to avoid a third party throughout all that, but they also have to focus on how they're going to get into the zone next, because just look at the amount of congestion that's happening over towards where Team Liquid is.
Yeah, and from that little bit of a poke engagement and what we were seeing in between complexity, that's going to be a tough rotation, to say the least. There's going to be a couple of gunfights through this rotation, and here goes complexity. They're going to hit the green. They're going to try to make this engagement happen. Monsoon with a very early rift just to try to see if they can get some information, but Rektar is dropped down incredibly low. They do get the knock. It's just about finding the finishes and then moving onwards.
I like that play from Monsoon. He's going to come through, hit the Q before he takes preemptive damage, just so he can continue to lay down information for his teammates on where those players are going to be. But look at Cody hiding around the corner. They're going to try to find him as Monsoon's getting the sound cues throughout all that. Shiny is going to go and take his spot, but it's 30 seconds before you have to move into the zone. Complexity has to make their move as G2 is going to be taken out by Renegades. You saw on the minimap before, Renegades actually had the position and G2 had to push in order to get in towards the zone. And we know zone number 3 is where things start to tick. So it is time to move if you're on the outside.
So that's going to be Cody going down. The entire team is now fully eliminated. Sweet's going to be the one to be able to find that with the flat line. But here comes the rotation. You can see NRG just absolutely gatekeeping Complexity. I mean, yeah, you do have at least some sort of movement with the geyser right in front of you that got added in a few seasons ago. iShiny trying to find a couple of chip shot damage. They got the triple take out of a care package. So they're going to be looking to at least find themselves an opening. But Rocker goes down from said triple take. So this might just be the opening to be able to all in on the scene.
Well, that's happening. Big fight happening towards the back of Dome. Vase is going to go down. There was a little bit of confusion on where the rest of his teammates were going to go, but it looks like Yuki's got his back. Haki's going to fall back and try to hit some heals. Is that enough damage to re-knock him? It's actually enough to get the finish And then Yuki goes down as well. It was G Dolphin in the back. Snipedown's going to find Shib with the L-Star. All hell breaking loose now that the zone's moving.
Yeah, I mean, Dolphin and their squad has not moved from this back-crusted area for quite some time, and it's just about utilizing that 30-30 repeater that we saw them pick up all the way back at the beginning of the game, and now they're starting to find some damage reps inside. How nasty can they be with any weapon that you give them? They are worth messing with a 4 to 8 scope on a charge rifle. Urice and Alpine, they got some high ground to play with, and they got a lot of different members right in front of them.
Crazy how Alpine, which seemed to be pinched throughout all of this situation, has now made themselves into a solidified position up on top of this high ground. Like you mentioned, you're going to have Hill, who's potentially in his drone throughout all of this. Benchwarmers, they're going to have to get the res onto Madness. Defensive bombardment and bubble is going to be used as Shiny with that triple take has been an absolute nuisance. Now, will Alpine be able to pick up on all of these kills? Look at the flank coming in from Sync. This is a risky play. He's going to try to take an off angle with the bubble. He has about 10 seconds before that thing's going to disappear, but if he gets caught out, he's dead.
It's going to be tough, especially because the engagement's going to have to be forced. You got 55 seconds to be able to make this play happen, and there you go. C9, set, Madness. They're trying to at least find the angle, but Alpine, they want none of it. They're trying to take their high ground back towards their rock on the opposite side of the crust, but Madness and Co., they got some nades. They're trying to find the early chip damage. Smart by them.
It was just such great discipline to stay behind the rock and not peek, and now they have Alpine on the ropes. There was no EMP used throughout all of that, so Hill wasn't as useful as he was hoping for, but a great burst coming in with the R301 is now Complexity gets into the fray. Third parties coming left and right as you have 20 seconds to end this fight and make your way over towards the next zone while getting the reses. That's going to be the rest of Alpine being taken out. Will they be able to get Madness back up? 15 seconds into the bubble. That's not going to be enough time. Nox going to have to hold him off as Complexity now makes their presence known on the map. Look at this positioning coming in as the bubble's been used on top originally where Alpine was, and Rambo is done for.
Yeah, they know Rambo's the last player left alive. They got a Prowler, a charged rifle, trying to make the most out of it, but they're going to be pinched from all different sides. Space Station's not too far away from them as well. Drop is able to recognize this, pulls out the Scout, is able to find themselves a good couple of shots, but the Ring's going to be able to be the final blow towards Shiny, but the rotation inside a dome is not exactly an easy one when you got the gas to your back.
Definitely not easy. All those teams are basically trying to get those desperate kill points going forward and then doing a late rotation. Similar to what you're seeing from Space Station Gaming is Rakinishu's not going to spot them ratting it directly below them. RIG, who originally had a very tough rotation, still made their way into the zone as everyone should be looking at this Valkyrie player, and that's definitely not the play right there. Unfortunately, they're going to be taken out as Liquid putting down some flatline shots around the corner. It's up to Flanker to lay down the rest of the cover as Caustic Gas is going to be tough to see through. It doesn't matter if you're Flanker, he's still landing shots.
Yeah, he's still going to absolutely beam you with that flatline. Going to now pop up on top of that cargo container. We'll be able to confirm, yeah, the bubble is in full use here for RIG, but it's not just Liquid you got to worry about on the outskirts over here. You're also being pinched from the opposite side, and as soon as the dog does get popped here from Gen, what can you possibly do with it? There's a lot of information, but do you have the resources to try to all in on this team? Because you have a minute to be able to make this decision, Tom. You got to almost be able to find a couple kills because you got to get in towards this next zone.
This is what I love about competitive Apex at the highest level. 9 teams coexisting, 1 team to each rock basically throughout all of this as RIG is going to be making their move around the corner. You see some really nice volt shots right there. Has a battery in the back pocket if he wants to go and use that one. It could be about time. Instead, going with the cells, being conservative. Bubble is going to go down. Looks like they're ready to rumble inside of this bubble as the fight is breaking through. That's going to be Renegades going down first. Vaxilon's going to feed it to the L-Star, and that's going to be the finish. RIG quickly making quick work of Renegades. Noble's on the case though.
Yeah, Noble knows that they're going to be weak from that as well, so they're not going to let them breathe at all. Impulse has the care package Spitfire. It just goes ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba, and then you're able to find all the damage in the world, but you got to be able to lock it down with the EVA 8. Luckily enough, teammates will be there. Lots of loot to be able to choose from. More kills being able to be found as there's a total of 15 players, 6 squads remaining here, Tom, as we're starting to fight inside of these buildings with TSM.
TSM, who's been quiet throughout the game so far, find themselves in a great position, but Snipedown has to stay alive. Good shots right there onto G3. Has the high end of the bubble if he wants to go and use that one. There's a quick armor swap for you, Snipedown, but it's just a Gray. Who still has Gray armor at this point in the game is what he's thinking, but they are in a prime position to move down this tunnel, as there could be another team down there, though. It is Noble, so Noble, who is walking down the inside for quite some time, comes in third parties, picks up some more loot, and then picks themselves back into the zone.
Look, we can see that where that one rat is. We got 4 squads, 10 players. Sweet's that rat right underneath where all this action is unfolding. And Noble has been relentless, just pushing teams, trying to be that third party and finding value in it as well. Sweet, they got themselves pretty nice setup as far as weapons are concerned, but they're the only ones that are left alive. Kraber might be able to find themselves a good bunch of kills, but you got to lock down the shots first. Sweet will go down. So
wow.
NRG knocked out at 4th place, just down to a handful of squads. We know Noble is here. TSM are on the inside as well. This one's going to come down to the wire.
They're a little split though. Rakanation going to have to bail because of this defensive compartment. He's going to make his way across from the lava. It's 3-on-3-on-3 situation, but I gotta say I'm so impressed with how Noble was playing this again. We saw them inside of Dome very early into the game. They had such low armors, but now Rakanation is going to wait for this bubble to go away, and then he's going to throw the defensive bombardment down, but he's going to be answered right back with the Valkyrie missile swarm as Hal's going to go and get that one. Great thermite coming through as well. It's not looking good for Noble as they are just being melted by TSM.
Oh, Reps, Hal so low they can't go down here. Hal will go down. Reps will stay alive. Gonna have to try to at least res them here with the gas, but it's them versus Dolphins team, who again have been on the south end position for the entirety of the game, Tom. They don't push it though. They're just gonna go ahead and reset the entirety of the fight. Now it is TSM FTX in full versus their coach. Oh man, this is gonna get weird.
It's definitely gonna get weird. Defensive bombardment's gonna go through, but the eggshells should protect throughout all of that. And when we take a look at which team's gonna get the advantage of the zone, I'm not quite sure exactly where this is gonna end. So it's gonna be pretty interesting. It's gonna be I guess a heal off unless something crazy happens.
Well, you're gonna have the Valkyrie ultimate, so I mean you can theoretically try to get on top of this eggshell for either of these two teams, but yeah, it might just come down to a heal off. I mean, you can see Dolphins team is in the prime spot. It's actually going to pull just a little bit towards their northwest. Dolphin just waiting for the rotation. Nobody's going to be able to push that, and you do have a slight opening, maybe where you can try to find an engagement, and there's Unlucky. They're going to go ahead and start channeling the Valkyrie ultimate. Yeah, go ahead and get on top of this eggshell, see what you can find.
I think he forgot his teammates, though. And it's also a little bit early, so if there was ever a time to do it, it probably would have been at the very end of the game, and he's not going to be able to land on top of that eggshell. Instead, he's going to just plummet into the... Hello. 3 points.
I mean, in theory, it was awesome, right? I mean, just like, yeah, try to use the Valkyrie ult, try to get some information. Snipedown says, thank you very much. I'll take kill number 6 on the board.
Someone's like, hey, see if you can Valkyrie ult up there and see how it goes. Didn't go very well. They also had a portal too, so unfortunately, this could have been one. There was definitely an opportunity throughout all this as Snipedown's trying to get funky with the gas throughout the wall. It looks like TSM has the winning side of this one.
They should have the winning side, absolutely. It will come down to a slight heal off on the opposite side. And well, actually, no, Dolphins team, they have a little bit more end zone to be able to play with. So this is going to come down to med hits. And what you can see right there, all the health is absolutely depleting. TSM have absolutely no answer. Dolphins team, just their positioning from the entirety of the game, just too pristine. We'll take match number 1.
They knew from the very beginning when they sat in that backhand corner that the zone was going to move, that TSM was going to be on the opposite side of the wall, that they were going to sacrifice their Valkyrie, and it was just going to be 2 players sitting there roasting marshmallows over the fire for the dub.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that was the set play. I mean, they would know better than me, I suppose. Just like, yeah, Unlucky, just go ahead and throw your life away, see if you get confirmation they are, in fact, on the opposite side of the wall, and we're just going to go ahead and show. I mean, there's a reason why Dolphin is highly respected in the Apex Legends community. They've been reading zones since Season 0. They were able to put their team in that exact position, find themselves some long-range engagements, and it led to that exact moment. Did they find all the kills in the world? No, it's not always going to be the main objective, especially for these types of tournaments, but getting that first place 12-point buffer, now that's what you're mostly looking at.
There was a lot of TSM in that final circle, basically, and it was really interesting to see how that one played out. I was expecting potentially some Valkyrie plays that didn't go as planned, and I don't think that anyone was expecting to see what we saw right there. Hey, just confirm that it is TSM, and maybe give them a kill because we like them along the way. But Snipedown ended that one with 6 overall, so you know TSM was definitely looking good in terms of the actual kills. Also, a lot of props for a handful of different teams. I thought that Alpine played their position fairly well for the situation that they were dealt with. Rig played very well, but also Noble inside of the dome, making their way in there with just a gray armor and a purple, 2 grays and a purple. They ended that 3rd place with like 2 reds and a purple. So a great job positioning themselves, but also picking up kills along the way.
Yeah, Noble was playing to their strengths, right? When we're talking about a composition, when you do end up having that Gibraltar, you're almost just benefiting from watching another team go down. The bubble is already dissipated from that enemy team, and then you just all in with your own bubble, just trying to find all of the kills possibly in necessary. And Noble walking away with a plethora amount of points, just going out at third number, at that third place. You're going to be feeling pretty darn good because it's just match 1. I mean, Tom, we just got started.
All right, we saw some smooth shots, but we also have someone with another smooth shot, not just on Apex, but also on the court. We got Grayson Allen here. Grayson, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. I got you.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Hey, thanks for putting this on. Appreciate it. Let's jump right into a little bit about your gaming story. Can you kind of run us through how you got into gaming and how you got into esports in general?
So I started with Halo 3 was my first-person shooter. Before that, I was a gamer, but it was mostly sports games. And so once I started that, I moved from that to Call of Duty World at War, and then it's just been nonstop from there. So I've always been a first-person shooter fan. That's always been my go-to.
We love Halo, we love COD all across this desk. I can tell that confidently, both between Tom and myself from the backgrounds that we personally have. So Apex Legends is the game of your choice now. We see you streaming it when you are off the court, of course. But why this tournament? What made you want to put this all on?
Oh man, I've been working on this tournament for a year, so it just feels kind of natural for the competitive side of Apex, and then me loving Apex, having a very competitive personality. It makes a lot of sense. It's something I wanted to do. I actually wasn't planning on playing in it, but it's awesome to play in it too. And I really appreciate, Turtle Beach, Built, Protege, eFuse helped me put it on. But I'm a big fan of Comp Apex. I watch a lot. Really, the intensity of the games is just so entertaining to watch. The intensity of like the communication in the squads is awesome. And Apex being what I feel like is the most fun game I've ever played from a gunplay standpoint. So watching that kind of play out on a competitive stage is also super entertaining to watch when you're seeing the best players ever. So the best players in the game. So it's a lot of fun.
So speaking of like the competitiveness, what do you think are some similarities between being a professional athlete and maybe being a professional gamer, besides the fact that you don't have to deal with the refs and the bad calls?
That's a nice part of it. I think the mental grind, like one thing I really respect about gamers is the mental grind that it takes to play in a tournament. Apex, you're seeing like ALGS qualifier days, guys are playing for 8-9 hours straight. I know the first tournament in Poland, like it's 8 or 9 hour day with some of the formats where it's like you have to win the last game to win. You can play extra games, and so that mental focus is extremely important to keep. And for the NBA, we only have to do it for a couple hours a night, but you got to do it throughout an 82 game season. And in competitive esports, it's the same way. Like your mental focus has to be there because everyone's so good. Like as soon as it drops, you're done.
All right, that's honestly really, really, really nice. Is there any sort of apart from the similarities that you just went ahead and stated as well, is there some sort of I want to go deeper inside of just the chemistry they are able to build across from a lot of the different rank squads? Obviously, reaching Apex Predator is no easy feat, as many people have tried. We've only seen so many people being able to do it successfully in such a short amount of time. Speaking of some of that mental game that you do have both on the court and in Apex Legends, can you kind of walk us through some of that process of just preparing yourself, whether it's through a day of stream, playing in these high rank situations, going into this tournament, or at least going onto the court?
Well, yeah, I think it's similar. I'm actually way more nervous playing in this than I am going into an NBA game. It's so different. And, I was joking with somebody in my chat, asked me like, what's tougher? Like when you go into an NBA game, you're playing against one other team. Like here you're against 19 other teams all fighting for one winner. Like there's way more pressure and nerves going into this. So, it's super interesting, but I think the mental prep for something like this versus a game is extremely similar. Like you have to be focused, and for me it actually works out perfectly with gaming, and especially like playing competitively, like playing in the high ranked lobbies. Like I get to relax my body and at the same time like engage my competitive mind, so it ends up being perfect.
I have kind of a two-part question because the first question is fairly easy. One, do you play with any of your teammates in terms of, Apex or other games?
I've played with him some. So one of the guys who's on the Bucks now with me, Shimi Ojale, he plays some Apex too. So I've played with him a couple times. But most guys are COD guys, and a lot of guys play 2K too. And so I don't really play. I play a little bit of COD. I haven't played 2K in a long time. Like the only time I really play 2K is when I'm with somebody. So Apex is my game. I'm always trying to convert people over to play some more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Love that.
Let's convert them. And the second part of the question is kind of what do you love about gaming so much? What attracts you to gaming? What do you think are some of the negative stigmas that you may get with gaming that are actual positives?
Well, one for gaming for me, it's I keep harping on the competitiveness of it, but I think that's it. Like just competing against other people, other teams. I think some of the stigmas, a lot of people consider gamers like antisocial and like can't communicate. But I think it's the exact opposite. Like somebody assumes you're a loner if you're like in your room playing video games for hours straight, but most of the time if you're playing Apex at least, you're talking to people the whole time. You're communicating in the game. Like if anyone's ever watched Comp Apex, they know that the communication in game is absolutely insane. So I think that's kind of one big thing. And a lot of people want to talk about, oh, esports, they're not athletes. These guys aren't athletes. I, I, again, like the mental toughness and stamina it takes to do something like this is incredible. Like I give my hats off to these guys because I couldn't compete like that.
Well, Grayson, we respect the hell out of you and appreciate the love back, man. Again, thank you for running this tournament and good luck in the rest of the games.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get game number 2 right underway. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Grayson Allen 15K Apex Invitational presented by Turtle Beach. Got Proper here with me, and we're getting ready for game number 2. We saw an interesting ending there. TSM, were they giving the game to their coach? We're not quite sure. No, they weren't.
No, there's no way. I mean, Dolphin just outbrained everybody in that lobby. I haven't seen a zone pulled that far south in a long time. It went so far south that it was all the way outside of the eggshells of Dome and south of launch site. Who was there first and foremost? It was Dolphins team. They were sitting over there the entire time, 30-30 repeaters, scouts. I believe one had a charge rifle as well until Unlucky just completely threw their life away. But it didn't even matter because walking away with that 12-point buffer on top of the dub that you were able to also get, plus all the kills that they were finding from that long range, I mean, that's going to be able to really stand tall for a lot of these other teams that were dropping an impressive amount of kills. We saw Snipe drop a total of 6 kills. Hal found the other one as well, so they're going to be able to walk away with that second place on top of those 7 kills. Going into game number 2, it's going to be pretty tight towards the top.
Yeah, unfortunately, we see Snipe down with 6 kills. You would have thought that TSM was absolutely thuming and stomping that lobby, but they only had 7 overall, like you said. Hal picking up that other one. Dolphin had 5. He was right behind Snipe down with the 2nd overall. Noble was doing extremely well. Impulse had 6 kills, so that was a tie for first place. They had 7 kills with 3rd place. So those are going to be your top 3 players and teams going into game number 2. We saw a very slow game number 1 with not any 50-50s, but around zone number 3 and 4, that's when things get really interesting.
Yeah, and we might just see a couple of earlier fights going down, depending on how early of a departure. We might have seen a couple teams trying to get a little frisky, as well as we see Madness going to be taking a couple of shots towards this apartment building. We know that TSM drops here as well as Madness's team. There's going to be a bubble dropped immediately.
This could be Complexity that went over towards the Fragment West side before, and now Madness is trying to split that with him as TSM lands on the opposite side, and they could third party this on the east side, but you can see them being caught out. Complexity kind of sticking together. C9, they're a little bit split. Rambo coming through from behind with the flank skis going up against Monsoon, but Noct is there, and that is it for Complexity. They had the low ground on top of that ramp right there where the staircase was. That just wasn't the place. C9 is going to take that high ground, Benchwarmer is going to take that high ground and let it be known that this is their side on Fragment West. So clean, and you have to take that fight so fast because TSM is ready to third party.
Yeah, that was going to be my immediate question, is how fast are TSM going to be able to work their way over here? I mean, whether or not they were fully split over by the train station on Frag East, maybe they didn't exactly have the comfort of armor or at least weaponry to be able to get here a whole lot faster, but we saw as soon as we were dropping in here that the second ring will end up pulling a little bit closer towards Frag. This is going to be a very interesting endeavor, going back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the broadcast, that when you are in the immediate zone that it is going to be pulling towards, what's your loot going to be looking like? How many heals are you going to be playing with? We can see Rambo still possibly looking for some shield cells to get themselves back up to full, and as we swap our perspectives over towards Urice over in Skyhook, they'll be safe for the time being, just buying their time, finding themselves the loot, finding the best possible loadout to make their way towards the late game.
Looting, scooting, they're pretty far from the zone. Not extremely far, but like you mentioned, it's a little bit of work to get on over towards that fragment side. So they will be taking their time looting, making sure that they are A-okay. No one leaving with gray armor, nobody leaving with the gun combination that they don't want as Shiv. We saw them landing over towards the Overlook side fairly early. And it looks like the zone is continuing to kind of pull over towards that way too. So we'll have to get confirmation on exactly where this zone is going to be as Zeta understand the situation. There is not much time to waste, so they need to go and make some plays. Being on top of the train tracks here is never good. That's always a death zone. So getting over towards the right-hand side, playing the edge over towards where the mountains are, is the right spot, but you're gonna have to worry about the chokes. You're also gonna have to worry about TSM over towards your north side.
I was just leaning into my monitor so heavily, expecting somebody to get charge rifle from Zeta on this rotation, because you're absolutely right. It's just so open and from so many different angles as well. As we take a look at Dolphins team now, they're inside the streamer building. They got here pretty darn quickly. We know that TSM, they don't start too far away from where this position is at as well. I truly wonder where they're located at as well. Maybe they just completely dipped out to go towards No Name. Maybe they didn't find all the loot that they wanted. Maybe Dolphins team kind of bullied their way through this exact positioning, because this is quite literally where TSM starts their games.
Exactly, and we saw those were the final two teams, but we see the differential in play style where G-Dolphin, they set up over towards the end of the zone, and they got a decent amount of kills along the way. 6 kills plus that first place, that's 18 points overall. They're going to be feeling good about their play style, so why change it up? If it worked in game number 1, most likely is going to work in game number 2, as Space Station Gaming is very close to feeling the wrath as they're crossing over towards the broken bridge. I'm surprised that they're not being caught off guard here.
Space Station saw a very early departure in their last game. They getting third-partied at the wrong time, couldn't win the fight, but Arcstar's coming through from Dolphins' team inside of this broken building. Dolphins going to exchange a couple of shots, and they're going to have to heal themselves back up to full. Respect being earned from Space Station towards Dolphins' team as well. Decent amount of heals from both these teams. Nades galore as well, as Nax is just trying to find that damage so that way they can work their way in, but Space Station wants it first.
Can't believe that Space Station, excuse me, is trying to coexist in this building with, I would say, not very good armors. And that's the play. They were making their way over towards train station proper. That makes a lot more sense. There's no reason to go and challenge and coexist with G-Dolphin's team when they have the zero position, superior armor, and all of that good stuff. But you also saw some fights taking place between Shiv's team and Noble. So I believe Noble has been eliminated. Oh no, just one player. It was just Lucas. So Farmer Lucas is going to be taken out. Rakinishu and Impulse still in the game here, as they now have to retreat after being bullied on that Overlook side.
Yeah, and Lucas is eliminated. They won't be brought back into this game. That's your portal gone. Those are your iframes depleted away. So you're just down to your Bloodhound and your Gibraltar. That's going to get interesting towards the late game. Abralele on the Pathfinder this time around. Things you love to see. A highly mobile composition with Zach on the Gibraltar. This is definitely an interesting composition, but you can get a lot done, especially in this specific part of the map.
I love watching Albarelli sit and play this Pathfinder. He's also an extremely strong Valkyrie, plays Wraith and Octane really well, plays everybody really well. Heck, we even see him rock the Gibraltar sometimes. So they've gone and kind of taken the Shiv route where they went over towards Overlook. But remember that they've rotated from Overlook on over towards No Name. So this is more or less just to hit the scan over towards the back. That's going to show them round 2. They could also wait a minute and a half to hit the scan going into round 3, and that's going to be much valuable information for the C9 team. And
you get that 10% reduction for the zipline as well for the Pathfinder of Albarelele, so that way you can try to manipulate more of this terrain with the zip lines. He can get a little crazy towards some of the movement that we've seen a lot of these pro players being able to do by being able to take high ground, especially with shotguns and close range engagements, being able to get that very easy headshot. Although the multiplier has been nerfed slightly, it's still going to pack a powerful punch. Renegades, you can see just on the outskirts within this choke, they know that the zone is just right in front of them where it will be moving towards. So they're competent just sitting here inside this choke, just seeing if somebody will be rotating, potentially whether it's out of lava siphon through that no-named area, and potentially working their way up towards those purple armors and potentially finding more kills.
So interesting to me that the Benchwarmers have not left Fragment West after the original fight against Complexity. They are still sitting there. So I feel like they may have some sort of play style that we may not know about quite yet. Is look at Alliance going through the stick. Is going to land. There's the knock onto Shiv. And there's the flush as well coming in from Vapes with the Thermite, with the shots coming in with the L-Star. To be able to chase the last player down too, that's going to be Serial. And 2 out of the third, all 3 players now going to be taken out. As we said, Alliance, one of those strong teams coming overseas. They're going to be taken down extremely quickly on the Shiv side. And that's scary for the rest of this lobby. Once you get Vapes, Yuki, and Hackies going, they are a team to watch.
Oh, absolutely, too. And it's the competition that can start really snowballing through a lot of these areas where the ring will be pulling towards Fragment. They get themselves set up. They're feeling themselves as far as gun skill is concerned. That's not exactly somebody that I want to take in a 1v1, 3v3. I don't care. This team gets absolutely hot. Gotta respect what Shiv was trying to do, though. Got stuck trying to stick mid-res. Almost got a lot of early damage. Almost traded the knock for Cossack that threw that Arc Star, but it just simply was not enough. They will be spectating for the rest of this game as we are moving our way through this tunnel side. You can see on the opposite side, over by No Name, by that bridge, Climatizer as well. Zeta is there. Sentinels is playing on that exact side as well. Alliance are going to have a lot of people in front of them once they leave that double door.
And Space Station Gaming with their little waltz across the broken bridge underneath G-Dolphin's team, all the way over towards the train station. They're going to be holding that down for quite some time, as we are predicting a Fragment Zone. Alliance, a couple of different options, right? You can make your way slowly through No Name, or you have that Valkyrie redeploy if you want to go and use that one a little bit later. try to find a safe spot to go and do that is the only problem right now. Fortunately for us, we get to see the player outlines. They don't know exactly where everybody is located, but they are doing a great job of still maneuvering. Maybe over towards the Cerrito building could be a safe spot.
Could be. They're going to get scanned, so at least they know that they're not alone here in No Name, but they're going to commit towards a rotation. Quick look here at G2. Again, one of the most notable teams, if not the most notable team right now in professional Apex. A result, design, just household names as far as we're concerned. Zeta's also trying to take a couple shots towards Sentinels inside of this garage building. Just trying to work their way up towards that blue armor as well. I can't tell you how many times we're going to bring it up in conversation today, Tom, that being in gray armor going in towards ring number 3, you're not going to be able to win many fights.
Not at all, because the teams are going to just send on you. As soon as they see that, they're going to take advantage of that. Surprisingly enough, you're playing Loba and you're still not able to get good armor, maybe giving that one on over towards the teammates, or they kind of yanked it before you got an opportunity to get over there. But you can see the black market is set up underneath the bridge. 26 away from getting over towards that blue, so hopefully he can just land one shot and then hit a cell and be A-okay. But this spot, it's similar to what we saw before, where teams can get caught in the middle, and you don't want to be the meat in the sandwich. You want to be the bread on the outside. Right now, they are definitely stuck between a lot of solid teams. The matter of the moment is how are they going to get into fragment, right? You can't sit here underneath the bridge this long. You're going to eventually have to make your move.
It's going to be hard to bully your way into some of these buildings, too. That's probably one of the biggest discrepancies when you're taking the Loba comparatively to the Caustic. Yeah, the black market's cool. You're able to get a lot of good armor swaps, able to get yourself a lot of ammo, heals, whatever it may be. But when it comes down to locking down a building, when it comes down to all-inning at a team, that's where things can get a little bit strange. And Lucky's going to eat a sniper shot. I believe that was all over by Market. They're going to go ahead and take a reprieve, try to heal back up inside of this building as the zone will be closing on in. You can see SSG still taking refuge inside of that train station. Pow Pow's going to hit themselves that beacon as well, just to be able to read where the next zone will be located at. But again, the biggest question of them all still exists. For a lot of these teams that aren't running Caustic, some of these all-in teams that almost rely on abilities to try to work their way in towards these buildings, how are they going to be able to do it when they don't have that stinky boy?
Stay positive and productive. Look at that Pathfinder. That Pathfinder would look good with a pair of Turtle Beach headphones on. Big shout out to our sponsor, Turtle Beach, for this event. You could use the code Grayson Allen to save 10% on his code. Shots with the wingman across the map for Designful. Again, they always play the edge, so rocking that Wingman EVA 8, it's just such a good gun. Wingman's so underutilized still to this day. I think a lot of people are electing to go with more automatic weapons, but still, if you are strong with the Wingman, that's good long range, medium range, up close, and you still got that EVA 8 in your back pocket if you want to get frisky.
Can't name a single G2 member that isn't competent with the Wingman as well. There's so many different metas. We've been seeing a lot of different weaponry being picked up, but I mean, results is it could also be that guy, especially with the arm shield from Gibraltar, can be an absolute nuisance, but they're playing with the longbow and the Mastiff as well, looking for a lot of chip damage. 87 away from that purple armor. They are trying to fish for it just outside of Epicenter. 2 minutes until ring number 4 will start to exist for us here, Tom, as we take a look at Noble. Again, Lucas went out incredibly early, and one of the questions that I had asked is how are you going to be able to play it when you don't have that portal to be able to play safely with, but they got themselves a building, and they're finding themselves in the middle of a fight.
Ooh, nice shots and finishing off Xenox right there as the damage is starting to get up on that side, but all hell breaking loose in the no-name area. Look at the quick scopes coming in from Yuki. The caustic gas being popped as well. So many barrels inside that the Dorito building is looking completely safe. But I love watching how these pro teams deal with these situations. They can't coexist next to this team for that long. They're going to have to make a play. And TSM is one of those teams making a play. How with the redeploy?
Where do we go from here, though? Trying to get as much high ground as possible. You're going to get a lot of information as you're scanning all the way down, too, but you are quite literally just birds in the sky, clay pigeons, if you will, trying to take a lot of chip shots. The Arcstar in the door will break it. Reps didn't make it in as well, so the bubble's going to have to be exhausted here just to get themselves inside this trailer. Phoenix Kit sells everything within their back pockets to get themselves back up to full, but this was a great maneuver out of TSM to get themselves to this trailer, looking in towards many different zones to come.
And Rig, who had a pretty solid game number 1. They're not sitting at the top of the leaderboard, but they're still in a pretty decent position as we take a look at that rotation that we just saw coming in from Hal. Team Madness is on the ropes, and the knock coming through onto Rambo, but speaking of knocked, he's there for the res, but it's a Shiv type res because the team is there. No sticky coming through as the Arcstars are not in hand for G2, but they are still laying down some serious damage. Nice bubble to cover their back and cover the door as well. as they're split up. Gentrifying also has the portal down if they want to get back to business, and there it is, the knocks, the finish, and also potential the portal back to get back over towards Gentrifying.
You're going to be able to get your Gibraltar back up. Here comes Gent. You're going to be taking this double-story apartment-esque building. You're going to be feeling darn comfortable, but Dolphin's not too far away, just about 80 meters on the opposite side. Again, they have been playing inside of that building for a long, long time. And there's that portal play that you were talking about. Talk about the trust from G2. I mean, they've been playing for such a long time, just being able to have that trust that two players are going to be able to take down an entire squad, and they're going to be able to do just that, and they have a pretty darn good spot to take a look at the next rotation.
I love that they are always constantly playing with each other, too. I mean, they've been a team for so long. They've gone through their trials and tribulations. They never split up, and they've always stuck through. And you can see just in the way that they communicate without even having to really communicate. It's that X factor that they have from playing together. Like you said, their experience really showing in that team fight. To have that confidence to just keep gentrifying back shows how much they've grown. They keep two players in the fight, and then one person watches for the third party. Right now, Onmu, though, and Kangarna, they're on the ropes. His shots are flying through left and right with the EVA 8. Team Nicewig with a clean squad wipe.
Yeah, Kangarna will be fully eliminated this time around for Nicewig's squad. They are sticking together. They're playing their resources. They're baiting out the enemy abilities, and they're capitalizing on top of it as the bread and butter of a Jibby team versus another Jibby team. You get that bubble down. We got some early damage. Just all in with our EVA 8s, massives, whatever shotguns you might possibly have. Could be an SMG for all I care. Just find those kills and go ahead and reset yourself back up. You take a look at the kill feed, too. Designful's going to be able to actually down Dolphin. Now, you're not exactly in a position to be able to capitalize on top of this. You're just going to continuously look for more poke damage. It's very close towards that red armor, but now we're starting to look at the nitty-gritty. Zone number 4 in play. Zone number 5 just in about 55 seconds. This is where these rotations are going to be absolutely brutal for some of these teams.
Went from 15 teams down to 14. That's just about 25% of the lobby. Speaking of 25%, use Apex 25 for Grayson's favorite clothing line. That's built. Go and check it out. As NRG, they are Thuman right now, but only with a duo. It's Nathan and it's Sweet trying to hold things together underneath the broken bridge over here, and they're going to have to hold it together because that's not their defensive bombardment. Look out, Nathan. Look out, Sweet. Unfortunately, that is not going to connect for the enemy team as Space Station Gaming is going for the reset drop. He needs to hit a medkit. Zanile is thinking about healing, but he's also worried that he's going to get flanked over towards the side. So now he decides once that's a little bit safer to go and do that. Love the little jiggle peek coming back and forth. That's going to be Nathan coming with the bait and switch, but there's Grayson coming through with the third party as well.
They're going to be able to take down Zanile. NRG Sweet going to be able to find that kill. Now you're going to be able to work with this positioning up on that top train car. But what can you possibly do with it? I mean, you can see that you have a team just directly right in front of you. That's actually our host of our tournament inside of that little building as well. You're going to be forced your way through the rotation on the opposite side of this bridge. Both these teams will be parallel with each other. This could be a tough one.
The play is being made right now. Nathan saying, let's push as Sweet's trying to get over towards that rock. And there's the shots coming in from behind. I love how they're playing the edge as much as possible, but Sync is going to find False over towards the side, and now they're going to be caught on the open from Team Euris. As you can see, the shots were just so clean with the scout. There was really not much that you could do right there, but unfortunately the bubble was a little over towards the edge of the zone, and now they're going to have to get a little bit more aggressive than they would have liked. Nathan laying down some damage, but he's eating it towards the ring. So is Euris. Now it's just up to Hill as the last player alive on this crypto. He's not going to be able to do much without any escape, and he is taken down finally. But look at TSM with the Valkyrie rotation proper. They are just playing chess when everyone else is playing checkers.
Yeah, it's like I said, the second that Valkyrie ultimate came down, they knew immediately where to go to. That trailer car is going to be a threshold for a lot of different teams to try to work their way through. We see Team Nicewig then being able to eliminate Lou, finding themselves an abundance of kills throughout the rotation as well. Bubble will be utilized as you take a look at the picture-in-picture down in the left side of your screen as well. Still healthy lobby, though. You got to remember, 6 squads, so with only 1 rat within play as well, just trying to potentially be a nuisance for the rest of these teams. TSM just inside this trailer right below them is Nicewig's roster, but they are eating shots from a lot of different spots on this map.
You have to give the advantage to TSM right now because the longer you could keep reps in the game on this Caustic, the more deadly, or Snipe Down, excuse me, the more deadly that he's going to get throughout all of this game. TSM has played just such a high level in terms of the rotation. So many different Valkyries in the lobby. They were the team in the middle of No Name that decided, all right, Zone number 2 going into zone number 3. We know exactly how to play this one, and now all the teams are going to figure out how the heck are they going to get this stinky boy out of this trailer rig right now. They're locking down the bridge like they have been for quite some time. But this zone is going to start collapsing once this closes in about a minute and a half. So all these teams most likely just going to continue to lock their zone down, hold their area, and decide which team is going to be the most threat. Right now to rig, it's Zach Mazer in this 2-4 scout.
Yeah, this was all I was going to be worried about, especially holding inside the bridge. You are just fish in a barrel at this point for C9, who are just playing this position. Again, Albert Laley on the Pathfinder. All of the high ground for these rocks are absolutely up for grabs as well. And here comes the rotation as well. Triple take shots, going to be just tagging players up at a very nominal level, but it's still chip damage nevertheless to be able to work your way for the rotation portal has been dropped towards this care package as well. C9 looking for the engagement.
Really like this bubble. They're going for a portal play, possible capture onto Alberley, but it's not going to connect. And then Resulta, for some reason, decides that he goes through the portal. Must have been an accident, as that was not a typical play coming in from your G2 squad. Gentrifying, he's going to be eliminated as well. Cloud9 finds some safe haven just temporarily, but now they're being bounced around like ping pong balls. Ridiculous defensive bombardment on top of a frag and an arc star. Alberelli with the triple take, doing whatever he can to try to keep Zach alive, but it's defensive bombardment on top of defensive bombardment here as everyone decides to focus Cloud9.
Yeah, I mean, Alb's just going to go ahead and try to stick this res. A better time now than ever, as well as TSM are still inside that trailer, just door peeking, playing through these little windows, just griefing everybody they possibly can. For Nicewig's team, they just cannot move from this spot. Same thing could be said for Cloud9. Zach does get res by Albert Laley, so now you're just being able to play with your Gibraltar, but the dome was used quite early on. 5 squads in total remaining going in towards this next zone, Tom, and this is where you really got to start questioning the defensive bombardments and what they're going to be utilized. Liquid on the top part of this rock. You can see Fun. They had dropped the rampart. Now they're playing on this Gibraltar. They have the defensive bombardment available, potentially the Noxus gas to clean things up.
Interesting portal from Rig. It looks like they're going to try to play in front of where C9 is. Keep in mind, Liquid and C9, the two teams that we were looking forward to watching, they're both with just a duo right now. Team Nicewig, all 3 players. TSM inside of the trailer, all 3 players. Rig, all 3 players as well. And now Team Nicewig is making their way over towards the trailer. The trailer isn't completely in, so eventually TSM is going to have to make their way out.
Yeah, they're going to have to move eventually, but at least you have the Gibraltar along with that bubble to make things a little bit easier. But defensive bombardments will make things a little bit dicey. Complexity, Nicewig is there along with the Freezy to try to make things a little bit thicker. And you can see it as well from Liquid. This is going to be a tri-pinch on all sides. Nobody wants TSM here anymore.
But TSM is doing a great job of just laying down barrel after barrel as Team Nicewig is finding themselves in a sticky situation, trying to fight the players that are making their way over towards the side. I believe that was Team Liquid, as Fun is going to be taken out. Flanker now, it's up to him. 190 spray with the flatline as he's locking down the roof, but there it is. Team Nicewig now making their play, and it looks like we're down to 1 rat and 2 full squads. Make that just 2 full squads as Rig is going to be eliminated. Armor Swap's going to have to come through, or potentially heals for a Preezy and Nicewig, as TSM doesn't realize the situation until they finally get that tick onto Nicewig, and there is the caustic gas coming in from Snipe Down. There's the knock coming in from Reps. TSM with a huge advantage.
A huge advantage, but you still have the high ground to worry about here, and that's going to be immediately taken in. Cody's going to try to at least find some trades, but it is all just an uphill battle. TSM with a fast rotation off the Valkyrie ultimate to put themselves in that trailer. We're just baiting out engagements. It's so tough to all in a caustic team, and that's exactly why.
And you just saw so many barrels, so many high-level plays coming in from TSM, but also the patience. Then the patient exploded with aggression once they realized that they had their advantage. So we have a big feeling that TSM is going to be number 1 after placing first place in game number 2 and taking second place in game number 1. Hey, we're going to get game number 3 underway. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Apex Invitational, 15K up for grabs, presented by Turtle Beach. Proper, we saw some pretty good games, but you know what? If you blinked, you missed it because we're almost halfway through.
Yeah, just about halfway through, and we're already seeing some adaptations, and we're seeing some great changes coming through. I don't know if it was TSM just waking up to make that very early rotation, but it came through in great stride to be able to take match number 2. G Dolphins team, the coach of TSM still for this very hour of time, was able to take match number 1. So we're still seeing a lot of good early action, but yeah, blinking, you might have missed it because going in towards game number 3, the top 3 could not be any closer in between Dolphins team, TSM, and Noble.
And TSM's just playing at a high level right now. You can see that. And I love to see how they played over towards Fragment. They leave Fragment. They go towards No Name. And then all of a sudden, once they found out where that zone was going to be, that's when they go and make their move. Such a big brain play, but also the discipline that they had to lock things down and not be distracted by Nicewig's team, not be distracted by Liquid. There was a lot of great teams that were starting to collapse on that trailer, but they never budged.
You can't at that point. Again, it's the respect that you're able to get. I mean, if you're gonna have a Caustic team inside that tight-knit area, it almost brings you back to our glory days of playing Apex, right? Of Watson, but it's Caustic this time around. If you yourself, as a Caustic player, cannot be the first one in through the enemy gas to try to find some early damage, or if you have some nades to try to flush them out of that very tight corridor, you're almost never going to get a team of TSM's caliber to move from that specific position until they absolutely need to. And it's like you said, they're playing at such a high level. There's a lot of other teams that we were highlighting through game number 2. G2 was one of them. We were taking a look at a lot of the rotations. Liquid was another one of them as well, as well as Sentinels and a lot of other teams to be able to not only showcase their individual talents, but as a 3-player squad. So going in towards match number 3, maybe we might see some more teams starting to contest others. We saw that early on over inside of Fragment, where, to your point, Tom, it actually forced TSM to make that rotation out of Fragment. They did not want to take that fight. They wanted more loot, and well, they reaped the benefits from it.
One of the teams that I'm looking forward to seeing hopefully improve is Congarna. They've been taken out fairly early in both of our games. Our ALGS champions from season 1 trying to get some Shiv and his team over towards the Overlook side. They were taken out early in game number 2 as well. We'll find out where this zone is going to pull and who's going to have the advantage. Right now, Renegades with a slight advantage as you're going to see that hot spot pulling down over towards Tree. Vaxon was possibly thinking on going to extend his loop, but he's going to be scared off by G2 as we see what Benchwarmers is up to. Keep in mind, they've been 50-50 in complexity on the Fragment West side. They have to be aware of TSM on the east side, though.
And it always just comes down to what TSM's loot is going to be looking like for that third party to potentially come all the way through. You know, the rotation from a lot of different POIs isn't exactly a long one when you're thinking about certain legends, but Benchwarmers, they're trying to take this red construction site. Rambo's going to eat some shots going in towards this, and its complexity up top. This is going to be a tough building to take.
Noct is there, though, with the R301. He's going to find Monsoon. When you have the high ground, you feel like you're going to have this huge advantage, but now Shiny's considering possible bubble res, but if he bubble reses, they're going to ape the bubble immediately. So counter bubble's put down. Madness is fairly weak. There's potentially the finish, too, if they want to go and use that. But, man, Benchwarmers getting the better of complexity in back-to-back 50-50s here.
Yeah, that's just really tough to be able to deal with at the end of it. You had the high ground, now you just got to try to get the heck out of Dodge. You almost got to just give this up. Madness's team is up there for the time being. Complexity on the opposite side, iShiny towards Market is just trying to at least scrap their way through this fight, and you can see where Reptar's at the same time, not even with their teammate, but Shiny's trying to at least salvage this, trying to find some shots on towards the enemy team that is looting Monsoon's death box, but it's just some chip damage coming all the way through, and well, with Reptar being on the complete opposite side, where iShiny's located at, they almost have to force their way to regroup over by this res beacon first and foremost.
Surprised that TSM isn't collapsing. They must be more interested in doing some sort of rotation or playing the map to their advantages. Otherwise, they would have been making some serious moves, and you can see they've already rotated on out while Benchwarmers is continuing to worry where these last couple players are. NRG not looking good on the armor. Sweet, he does have a blue. Let's see if he has a battery throughout all of this. Double graze for Nathan and Rocker. This is not the ideal situation. A lot of teams going to start rotating right at that 1 minute 30-second mark. NRG is one of those teams. TSM was already out at that 145, 150 mark. So Harvester is going to start seeing a lot of action here soon.
Yeah, Harvester is just a demon within its own self now, isn't it? I mean, with all the different buildings, all the different high ground that is available to you. We talk about the Valkyrie compositions. We talk about the resilience that you're able to have when you do have that Gibraltar with it, and the explosiveness if you do have a Caustic through a lot of these different buildings to feel safer. But when it comes down to Harvester as a whole trying to get here, there's not going to be all of the loot to be able to play with. So this could be where a lot of those Loba teams can start to shine.
Definitely, and you can see already coexisting. This is not the ideal situation for the teams that are going to start rotating here. This high ground area, you just continue to take shots across the map over and over again. Scouts, charge rifles, sentinels, all of the above. Random bubble coming down through the crafting station so they can continue to try to pick up some loot over here. But it makes you wonder exactly where this zone's going to be, because Zolfin was so good at predicting where zone number 1 was. But right now, it's really anyone's call. And TSM did a great job in game number 2. Harvester gets unpredictable. There are so many different zones. You really won't know until zone number 2 and 3 start to close.
And it could do a zany pull as well towards that fence line just outside a tree. I've seen it happen just way too many times that when you start working your way, the way that the zones do work in Apex Legends, it will never favor towards where there's a lot of mountains, where there's a lot of rocks. It will more or less pull, whether it's closer towards a POI or a lot of open land. So you got to be careful when you are thinking about your positioning going in towards Harvester, but you want to be on the edge of the teams, or the edge of the zone, rather. This is what we talked about at the top of the broadcast when you are playing these Jibby compositions, to try to pick and choose for a lot of these engagements as more coexisting is happening inside of Harvester. You can see NRG with all their gray armors in tow. Sweet has not fully healed back up, so you think that heals might be at an all-time low. But Rainbow's going to find a knock, complexity. Reptar will go down, and that's an easy kill to clean up.
And they are just hitting him with the BM right there as Reptar is going to be eliminated. And one more player left on the team. I believe that's going to be Shiny. As maybe Monsoon got back into the game, because you can see 59 players. So if Reptar got eliminated, that means that Monsoon's most likely back onto the map, as Energy has made their move over towards the high ground, back on over towards this platform. But this is not the spot to be when there's so many different teams that are focusing you. Like you said, teams over towards the fence are going to be a nuisance. You see nades, missile barrages, etc. And now TSM makes their play with just double grays. Ouch.
That's probably why we didn't see them try to 3P that fight that was happening over by Big Red inside of Fragment. Again, not all of the loot in the world for TSM to play with, specifically in that body shield department. So going to be looking for them to try to farm things up, but at least they have the positioning towards Harvester to try to do so. But you got to keep your head on a swivel in that exact positioning. So we take a look at Kungarna again. They are in dead last. They have a total of 2 points right now, Tom, as our champions are just absolutely struggling. They need a strong game 3.
They're focused and almost griefed in game number 1. Not sure what happened in game number 2, but here at the halfway point, they are looking fairly strong with their positioning, predicting the respawn on top of the bridge leading over towards Harvester Zone, which is a pretty good bet. I mean, that fence is a good call, where NRG is a good call as well. And TSM seems like they're trying to make their way over there as clean. Uh-oh, they're going to be running into multiple teams, a team on the outside, 2 teams on the inside. Fortunately, they do have this high ground to work with, and that portal is G-Dolphin's going to get back to safety.
That path's going to get popped. I wonder how many batteries that they truly have left. You saw that there were 3 cells.
They have the crafting
Dolphin,
stations, so.
And that's also really big when we're talking about some of these different rotations and drop points as well. Beacons are an absolute must. The crafting station is also really big when you do have that Gibraltar to be able to put that defensive dome over top of it, and then the resources can continue to follow through.
So Sentinels is fairly close to where the end zone could be. We know that there's the snake endings too. We know that there's the fence ending. There's the ending on top of where that respawn is. There's also endings more over towards the tree side. There's endings kind of where Rig is. I mean, Harvester is just full with them. It is so difficult. Again, once we hit into maybe zone number 3 going into zone number 4, all these teams are going to be forced to fight. I know if you're new to competitive Apex, you're like, what's going on? Or if you're used to it, you're like, oh, this is what I'm looking for, because this is what you hope for in these lobbies. You hope to see this many teams alive as the zones start to collapse on each other.
Yeah, that's when the kill feed just starts absolutely erupting towards ring 3 to 4, 4 to 5, where these rotations are going to be absolutely massive. So ring 1 will come to a full collapse here just in about 7 seconds. The beacons will be rescanned. We'll take a look at Cloud9 here. They're under a lot of pressure, and they're actually going to all in on this as well. Naughty is going to be able to find one. There's the entire cleanup. It's going to be Knock Rambo. They're going to be cleaned up entirely as Cloud9 are able to reign supreme inside this building.
Yeah, it's unfortunately not what they were hoping for, as they had a decent start picking off the complexity players, but now C9 looking like they're gaining some momentum over here as we take a look at the fly-through camera of where Renegades is holding, where Garnet is, Sentinels as well, NRG's not that far off. We have a feeling this is where the zone is most likely going to pull. So these 3 spots are extremely prioritized right now. And if you're Renegades, you have to be worried that a team's going to push you. So that's why you're keeping your head on a swivel. You're constantly backing players off. That also has to do with your weapon selection. If you're going to lock things down over here, a scout, anything long to medium range would be perfect.
This fence line is such a power position, too, for all the weaponry that you just talked about, too. I mean, you have the nerdy angles in between the fences. On the opposite sides of the fences, team shots will be an absolute must. We'll take a look at G2 inside of this choke, just right outside of that train station, trying to work their way in. Now, we know where a lot of teams are coexisting inside a Harvester. We also saw Rig over by that hillside, just outside of the tunnel that houses that vault. G2 are playing with a lot of long-range weaponry as well. Resulta, again, with that longbow, has the Ranger on top of it as well, but they don't like that rotation, so they're going to go ahead and just maintain this position for the time being and see what they can do and when the next ring pulls in.
This is what G2 does so well, though. They kind of poke and prod and get interested on certain areas, and then they dip out and you kind of forget about them, and they take an off angle once the other teams start to fight. So imagine if they just looped around all the way around the mountain. You could see nobody is on that side, on that west side, so they could come behind Rig, force Rig into Space Station Gaming, into Alpine, and things could get fairly interesting. But G2 is the masters of this. They come out of thermal. They know how to make their way over towards these zones continuously. As Cloud9 seems like they've spotted out some more players. Alberly's still on top of this Pathfinder. Unfortunately, that player is going to dip out of there as Naughty's going to make his way on over towards the beacon. It looks like they're possibly setting up for another scan to find out where zone number 3 is. And if they do get that scan, that's huge information.
It's huge for 2 different reasons. I touched up on it briefly when we saw them doing that in game number 2. Being able to deduct that cooldown percentage for a Pathfinder is everything, especially when you're talking about where these end zones are going to. A lot of high ground, a lot of rocks to be able to be manipulated by all of those Pathfinder zip lines. Aberlele might just be able to really either benefit their team or it might just come back to bite them in the rear when they're going to have to make a rotation.
Speaking of rotations, Team Niceway going to have to do something here as they're in the back of trees crafting up. Alliance, they're in the next zone. They have the scan on where round number 2 is going to be, but they know it's a fairly far trek, and eventually a team fight is going to have to break out. Maybe it's inside of this building as the scan is going to come through. Yuki is heavily considering where he's going to throw this caustic Nox gas grenade, as Hackies is going to be the first person to push. This isn't a team Shiv. Shiv has to heat a battery. Horizon with a lot of damage with the Prowler. They did so much damage than they actually took, and that's a great opportunity to go and push as the Arcstar finds its way inside of the door as well. Lots of caustic gas. It's going to be a defensive bombardment as well. Vapes doing whatever he can. Yuki doing whatever he can to get Hackies back into this game. Is going to be enough to hold off Shiv and friends. Right now, it looks like it could be.
They just can't all in onto this Dorito building, though, because of the gas as well. And from the inside of the building, Shiv is trying to salvage this fight versus Yuki, the L-Star. Will be the final nail in the coffin. Yuki is under pressure. Here comes the third party. What can you do? Not much of anything when you get absolutely obliterated. Of course, it is going to be Noble. They have been 3P'ing to such a high level all day long.
Both of those teams played that fairly well. The only thing that you had to consider was when that third party was going to come and how fast did you have to take that fight? How clean did you have to make it? That's when you saw the knock come down. Shiv's team immediately pushed. They understood the situation. There was a ticking time bomb that was Noble coming through to try to clean everything up. And like you said, the timing from Noble has been impeccable. The portal play, the flank, everything that you needed coming out of Noble was perfectly timed.
CTSM, I mean, they're still over by the side with all gray armors. That's not a good end game scenario. We're down to 17 total squads. Sweet, again, is forced to rat in this very tough position. Their position has already been scouted on out. It's just trying to utilize these cells as quickly as possible to try to put themselves in position. Nades are also coming through. Sweet is not in a fun spot.
Whenever you're at the bottom of Harvester, it's always one of the worst spots to be because there's so many different angles that you have to worry about. You also worry about Hill flying around his drone to find out exactly where you are. They have it posted up directly where Sweet is, and Sweet's not having any of that, so he's going to get rid of that as Rig find themselves in a fight. Flanker's going to be the first one to go down. Great spray coming in from Jen as they're using the bubble. It's a perfect ability there. Nocturnal's going to be the second one. His drop does find Sweet over towards the corner, so Energy is going to be out in 17th place, but Rig has been so impressive, and they already have 2/3 of Team Liquid down.
And they're playing from such a tough position, too. Just out in the open, I mean, Liquid will try to force the engagement to go down, but when you're trying to force your way towards this engagement just out in the open, you are just waltzing your way into the awaiting arms of a Gibraltar, and, well, they're just going to go ahead and let you know shotguns and everything in tow. 2/3 have been completely thrown by the wayside, and all of the loot will soon be followed as we take a big fly-in over towards Harvester, where just all of the lobby just seems to be trying to coexist to the best of their ability.
And what you're seeing right now is teams that were in great position punishing the teams that are out of position. That's what happens here in these lobbies. Zenile trying to work their way out of a bad spot into a good spot. That would be over towards the high ground if they can get it. That's why the scans are coming through in from Frex. But they dropped down to finish this kill. Was it worth it? Now that they're stuck on the low ground, similar to where Sweet was, you have another team across the way as well. So many different teams over here that dropped, had to even drop his bubble just to loot.
Must be pretty scarce, so you can see the 3 cells for dropped as well. Frex taking a lot of damage on the opposite side, not exactly in a position where you could try to battle your way through. You do have the jump pad available. You almost have to think that that's the only way that you're going to work your way from that position if they have to, because the zone is still pulling its way towards Harvester. So they're going to be, I guess, relatively safe. Again, that is just such a tough spot to be able to fight from within its own self, but at least you can try to guarantee yourself a later squad spot.
Taking a look at where that zone is going to be pulling, it is a hard pull. TSM with the early prediction on the opposite side of Harvester, as we mentioned, that thing can bounce around all over the place, and TSM has been on point with their zone predictions, with the dome prediction earlier, making their way over towards the blue trailer with the Valkyrie rotation, and now with just gray armor sticking in the very back snake, as all these teams, including G2, will have to fight their way out as this next zone moves.
Designful with their patented wingman finding themselves a couple of shots. They will end up finding a knock. That's going to be on Kangarna's Omnu.
Off the backboard. Oh, these guys are done. Feeling so bad for Kangarna right now. Defensive bombardment's coming down. Somehow they have their quick boots on. What a great job throwing that defensive bombardment on top of the roof as they were making their way across. I thought there was no way they're going to survive throughout all of this. Omnu is just in shambles right now with no armor, trying to hit some heals throughout all of this. What is the play for Scurry and Vayne? Do they have any type of escapability throughout all of this with the bubble being down? Now defensive bombardment comes down as well. Multiple teams focusing on this is a rough rotation. Remember, they were predicting the zone over towards the respawn beacon on the bridge. It moves to the opposite side of Harvester, and the bubble comes back at the perfect time. Somehow, Kangarna is just holding on for dear life.
You got to think that once this bubble drops, that is going to be the end of Kangarna, but we have seen them battle their way from tough positions. They're down low again at Space Station, all the way down at the bottom of Harvester. Again, a very tough spot to try to battle your way from. G2 will be able to get this res onto Designful, again in a very safe spot on the high ground here, just inside of Harvester, but the rotation's going to have to be called through just in about 30 seconds. Sentinels is right below them, Kangarna on the outskirts.
I can't believe that Kangarna is not only living, they actually got a knock right there onto G2. It was Onmu, I believe, with the R301, who was laying down some serious cover fire for the teammates as Sentinels trying to make the rotation, coexisting with G2 directly above them. Kangarna we saw over towards the rock on the right-hand side. Multiple teams locking the bottom of Harvester down. Teams on top, and then teams inside of the snake. Just look at that mini-map.
You can see C9 just right outside of Snake, and I'm pretty sure that all of TSM are on gray armors. I mean, maybe they were able to work their way up towards blues, but we're getting ourselves closer and closer towards that late game situation where gray armors are the only thing you want gray armors for is just for a quick swap to try to win a quick 1v1, but you can see Cloud9's perspective on this bridge. Yeah, not even, right? It's a very loose, like maybe you want that for a swap, but you can see the bubble also going down. Kangarna's Omnu is actually able to find that knock onto Gunch. So, I mean, that's a big knock within its own self, but it is fish in a barrel here for Zach with this G7 Scout, just trying to find more chip damage. It's Space Station that's actually underneath that bridge.
Really great utilization of the map from a lot of our different teams, all playing extremely patient. Space Station Gaming starts to send it over towards TSM. Meanwhile, on the other side, it's going to be Resulta in G2 sending it over towards the high ground of Harvester, and they get the squad wipe, they get the clear. Can they get the res without getting third-partied? Armor swaps are going to be coming through. Gentrifying going for the res. It looks like G2 is going to survive. Meanwhile, Space Station Gaming was eliminated by TSM, who is locking things down, but you do have more teams ready to battle it out. It's going to be Cloud9 trying to coexist as well.
They have such a healthy amount of armors as well. Here are those zipline plays as well to work your way across the lava towards the safety of where ring number 6 will be located at. And they know that there's also a fight going on outside of this tunnel. This positioning can be very good, but it also can be quite damning when you're thinking about the other players that are still inside a Harvester with these long-range ARs and sniper rifles as well. The Rampage, though, in the hands of Albert Laley will absolutely obliterate Lou.
And that thing wasn't charged up. That's the most ridiculous thing from that. Albrilli just showcasing Pathfinder can still be played. You just have to hit your shots, okay? That was very, very well done. One of our best bursts of the night. Sentinels still staying alive on the outskirts. Remember, they made their way outside of the zone, back on over towards this back wall to try to play a little bit safer and keep all that action in front of them while picking up full of different death boxes. So many different death boxes on top of this platform. They basically have their pick in between whatever they want. Will he drop the L-Star? Okay, no, just picking up some more ammo. So L-Star still in the meta here for the Sentinel squad. Rig has been playing extremely well, not just in this game, but the previous games as well, putting on a show. They took down Team Liquid earlier. Can they continue to add on to that kill point total?
Oh, there's someone on top here, apparently. Yeah, it's none other than Albert Laley on the Pathfinder. This is what I was talking about, just being an absolute nuisance to the entire lobby. Has the highest ground for the rotation. That's going to be Riggs, Templex, all the way down there. Will be able to at least heal themselves back up minorly, and Rig is right below Albert Laley as a whole, but they're not necessarily feeling threatened from this position.
Always a good zone to watch. Typically is going to end on top of the snake. We'll see exactly where this one is going to pull, though. Albrilli trying to desperately stay alive. Hits the grapple back on over towards Zach, but the bubble has to come down at the right time. It was just a little bit late, and now he's going to have to defend throughout all of this. How many players does he have to take down? Is it just a rat? And it is. Very nicely done from Zach. Also hitting the res at the right time. Will he be able to get Naughty back up as the bubble is going to dissipate? Throwing down an Arc Star over towards the door just to buy some extra time as you take a look at the flying camera, and it looks like Cloud9 is going to be safe for now. Gentrifying and the G2 roster with just 2 players sitting on the outskirts. Reese still alive on the high ground. Right now, when I'm looking at it, got to give a big advantage to C9 if they can heal off.
It's just about being able to get that med kit off if you are Naughty. Easier said than done. More poke engagements happening through from that big door. Sentinels, though, still existing here within the top 5. This is a big game for them. They're all the way down at 6 points within the bottom 4 of our team so far through the first 2 matches. To be able to walk away with a big game here might just be able to get themselves closer towards that top 5.
The big thing is going to be that EMP coming in from Hill as well. So many great teams. Actually, G2 is a full squad too, so all of these squads are full right now as we have 5 left, 15 remaining here, and all of these teams in the running, trying to catch up to TSM. Look at the shots coming in from Reese, trying to take over the roof away from C9. There goes the EMP. It's a little bit early. You can see the stun coming in onto Reese as well, so he's going to queue back. Doesn't do any damage to him, but he still has to hit a battery throughout all of that as RKN now going to bait and switch over towards the roof. The roof is the power position throughout all of this, but I feel like Hill wasted that EMP a little bit early with so many squads just to focus that on one team. Seems to be a little bit of a waste. They weren't able to capitalize on that, so I guarantee that Hill would like that one back. But either way, controlling the roof is the goal here. The rest of these teams going to have to try to figure out how they're going to take that high ground back.
You can see TSM are still inside this building, too. They're still existing here as a 3-player squad. They got here with Grey Arbors. Now they're messing with 2 purples and a blue. They're feeling threatened from the opposite side, trying to find a couple of shots. Is Reps with this G7 Scout. It's just chip damage for the time being. There's a nice crack. Can you even capitalize on top of this? You have a lot of power on the backside from the Caustic and the Gibraltar as well. The third party is in.
There go the shots coming in. That's going to be a knock from Snipedown. Buddy Sentinels is going to find one onto Resulta as well. That's going to be Crust as Reps is going to get the finish. Zach's going to die to the ring. Now we have 4 squads remaining as G2 looks like they're about to be eliminated as well. Sentinels with the spray. We saw Crust pick up all that extra ammo over towards the back wall. Now they made their way over towards the slow ground. The fact that they have not been focused throughout all of this is great for them. Now they're going to be safe throughout all of that outside and can just continue to work the slow part of the zone for as long as possible. Alpine healing on top of the roof. TSM coexisting. We have a 3-layer pro team cake.
Oh man, and TSM is the meat of the sandwich too. That is going to be a tough spot, but we saw this happen just in game number 2. They have the Caustic set up. Alpine will drop down. They're trying to force their way in towards the engagement, and here it comes. TSM are forcing it.
Alpino's starting to get pushed out by the zone, so now you're going to see a huge advantage going over towards the low ground teams. As it's a big battle between TSM, and I believe Hal takes over towards the high ground, but you still have Sentinels over towards the low ground. Can he clutch this one out? Looks like there's 2 players alive. He's inside the gas. He's also got the Digi threat as well. It's going to be Hal picking up back-to-back games. The snipe down gas was huge. It forced everybody over towards the top. Nobody could see. Prowler Digi threat for Hal gets the dub. Ridiculous TSM.
And again, you know, they put themselves in that position. A team that starts all the way on Fragment East makes the early rotation, the early call. Hey, there's a lot of fighting happening over in Fragment West. Can we 3P this? No. We got great armors. The weaponry probably wasn't in a good spot as well, so they had to rotate out. They had to find more loot, and even when they made it towards Snake on the opposite side of Harvester, they were still on gray armors. They had to pick and choose their engagements, poke and prod where they possibly could, and find the kills when they started presenting themselves, and then right down to that final zone, like you called, the gas on the opposite side of Harvester. They were still on gray armors. They had to pick and choose their engagements, poke and prod where they possibly could, and find the kills when they started presenting themselves. And then right down to that final zone, like you called, the gas got pulled out, then the dome soon to follow, but it was a heads-up play. Of course, it was Hal making that heads-up play just to fly all the way up in the air, and that's why a lot of frag-type players like Hal are favoring to play the Valkyrie. In those late-game situations, the Noxus gas will not affect you. When you are that high in the air, you are able to stay safe from all the nade spam as well. Wonderfully executed from TSM to win 2 games in a row.
Escapability, probability to go and outplay, and also just the way that he was able to maneuver around throughout all of that. All players from TSM really pitching in, but it was Hal. Second place from game number 1, back-to-back firsts, and we have 2 more games remaining. We're going to take a quick break. We'll get game number 4 underway when we get right back.
Hey guys, what's up? It is Blonde Venom. I'm here with the G2 Trios team. This is the Grayson Allen Apex Invitational presented by Turtle Beach. Guys, what's up?
Yo.
What up?
What is up? What is up?
So how long have you guys played Apex Legends together?
Me and Design longer.
Yeah, me and Jordan probably since like season 1. We picked up Gent probably like 4 months into the game.
It took longer for him because he sucks.
Had to have been way longer, and then they realized how much better I was.
Okay, shut your mouth. We picked up Gent about 4 months before LGS was announced. Jordan and me 6 months.
And you guys were announced to G2 pretty recently, right?
Like 3 months ago, yeah.
Out of all the teams, all regions, I think we're the longest standing team. At least NA for sure.
So how exciting is it to compete in tournaments with larger prize pools?
I mean, back in the day, we would have to we'd have to sweat up for like a $500 payout. We'd be playing for like 8 hours.
The first Wednesday of every month, we had this kill race tournament for 2,500, and everybody thought it was insane. Like everybody used to like wake up and like get ready for that tournament. So like now that we're able to just play on PC and compete for like big tourneys like this, it's awesome.
Jet, I'm gonna ask you this: is Grayson Allen any good at Apex, and can you beat him?
He's alright. I mean, I'll give him props, but I'll put him down any day.
Could you beat him in 2K?
No, I would get smoked in that.
Talk about the legitimacy that athletes, like pro athletes, bring to the gaming and esports space.
Yeah, it's super cool because I mean, esports is growing. Seeing where it's come from to like where it is now, and like now we're mixing in people from all different industries. Like our friend group's like friends with Bryson Tiller from like the music industry. Like Grayson's been playing Apex. Like there's just people coming from all around and like showing love to the scene, and it's super cool.
Who do you guys main and why?
I main Wraith for competitive, pretty much. That's what the team needs, and I'm pretty good on her.
Because he needs a bailout, actually. Because he overextends.
I mean, I told you you could play Wraith, but you don't want to play Wraith because you die. You die before you phase out, so that's why I play her.
That's why.
Tim, he looked into the webcam while he said that too. It was like into your soul.
So I play Gibby. That's basically my job, to use my bubble, get us into good spots, keep the boys alive, and I don't know, just help get us in the game, hold spots down.
No, he's the anchor. He's actually like best anchor North America for sure. Right now I'm in Octane. I played Path and Bloodhound and Caustic in the past. I kind of am like the flex role, but ever since Champs, we needed to switch our meta around, so I'm playing Octane now.
So there are 5 places that are being paid out for this tournament. Honest opinion, where you guys think
First
you'll
place.
land?
First, of course.
We're doping.
I like the confidence, boys. Let's go. Kings Canyon, you can only land 1 spot every single time. Where are you dropping?
Containment. It's OG.
Map room. Crypto map room. It's a UAV. Push the closest team.
I'm landing on Jen's head and punching him out. Wherever he lands, I'm going.
Thank you guys so much for doing this interview, and thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of the tournament. We're out.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Grayson Allen $15,000 Apex Invitational presented by Turtle Beach. Proper, we are 3 games down, and TSM is looking like they are about to take this 6K first place.
They already had a 13-point lead going into game number 3, and they walk away with some of the most kills in the lobby on top of another dub. Yeah, Tom, I think it's starting to look pretty favorable for TSM.
And we're seeing how to play this meta. Also, just great Valkyrie rotations, the power of Caustic, Snipe Down, playing it and busting out when really no one was expecting them to be this useful with it. I mean, this is the composition that we're seeing, why it is being utilized, how to utilize it, and how strong it actually can be. If you missed game number 2, well, I suggest you go back and watch the VOD when this thing's all over to watch the rotation that Hal had when they went and set themselves over towards the trailer. Towards the end of this game, a completely different scenario. They rotated out of Fragment in game number 3. Like you said, triple gray armors, fighting themselves over towards the snake, predicting these zones perfectly. What's it going to take, Proper, for a team to really take them down? They haven't even lost a team fight in 3 games.
I mean, it's almost like you're just hoping say like you're one of these teams that are in the top 5, like RIG, Nicewigg's team, Noble, for example, that maybe they get 50-50'd off the spawn, but that's just the respect that TSM has been able to find ever since competing on World's Edge. Fragment East is their home. That's why you're seeing Fragment West being 50-50 from a couple different teams. Nobody's really been contesting TSM just off the drop. Nobody really will, because they're just very quick to be able to recognize, hey, we're being pushed, we need to rotate out, we don't have the weaponry, the armor for this type of situation. What it's going to have to take is just, again, somebody just has to step up, somebody has to eliminate this team on rotation. We know they do it rather early when the zone does not pull towards Fragment for them. Somebody's going to have to step up, somebody's going to have to go big and eliminate these juggernauts to open up the floodgates for one of these teams within the top 5 to try to work their way to first.
They're just so smart in the way that they play, and you wonder, it's like, well, you know, we always talk about TSM. Well, there's a reason they've been the dominant North America team for quite some time. But we were talking about this while we were in the break. They weren't as dominant when they had to switch and pick up Snipe Down. They had some growing pains to go through. This is the most dominant we've seen them be, in my opinion, in over a year. I mean, yes, it's only 3 games, but keep in mind, the ALGS is coming up around the corner. These teams have been practicing. There's been a lot of shifts in meta, and there's been a lot of time for Hal, Snipe Down, and Reps to gel together. And I really think we're seeing that from these first 3 games. We'll see if they can keep that up, as RKN going to get the finisher onto Rig Gen, who had a great game in game number 3. But now we see this consistent battle between Complexity and Benchwarmers taking place over towards the con building.
And again, this is the 50-50, right? Zipline battle. Rambo's gonna go down. Madness just trying their best. Swaps to the Prowler. Can't find themselves the knock. It's Reptard able to clean things up. What can Knock do? Inside the enemy bubble, they're going to be double challenged from the opposite side of it, and they're just going to be fully chased. Good luck. Have fun. Solid shots on the Monsoon, though. Will force out the 1v1, but they didn't reset the fight entirely. That was a smart call coming out from Complexity to be able to clean things up as they're able to stay tall as a 3-player squad.
Great job by Complexity. They have not had the advantage in these 50-50s. They've lost a majority of them. This time, they're able to take down Benchwarmers, but you also got to give props to Knock throughout all of that for trying his best. I mean, the guy only had 50 HP, but the presence of mind to continue to ADS and get that extra Gibraltar shield so you can get that little bit more damage mitigated was a very smart play. He almost pulled that one off, but Complexity just a little bit too healthy. Rig now having to deal with the hill drone there. Very rarely do you see a wrench taken to a drone.
I mean, I too don't like drones. I would have done it too, Templex. Don't need to waste the bullets. Just use the heirloom. As we get the score update actually coming through from game number 3, TSM have 53 total points. The next team is going to be Sentinels at 27. So you asked, what is it going to have to take for TSM to get upset here, Tom? They got to go down early. They got to go down within top 18, top 19, if any one of these teams have any sort of hope to try to work their way to first.
Who's going to be, though? Which team is going to step it up? Is it going to be the coach at TSM, G-Dolphin, trying to continue to add points on after their game number 1 win over towards the back of dome? They picked up 18 points from that game, but as you said, Sentinels is sitting in second place. As we take a look at what Sentinels is doing, they are in a pretty prime position inside the zone here. The question is how many kills from this spot can you actually pick up? We've seen teams like Noble do a great job of sitting in the middle of the zone and picking up kills along the way. Sentinels trying to take a page out of that book.
And when you talk about, a lot of these different players, we talked about Dolphin putting themselves in a prime spot, game number 1 all the way on the south side of the map, through 2 different games in a row for TSM to be able to read the zones. Lou is also up there as well. I mean, this dude lives, eats, and breathes Apex. I mean, how many different seasons is this guy number 1 Apex Predator? Just reading zones just seems to be a second language for them as well. Luckily enough for them here in Lava Siphon, they're going to be able to put themselves in a prime spot where they have a lot of high ground to play with. It's Noble on the opposite side. And over by Control, it is in fact G-Dolphin's team. Trying to manipulate this terrain is rather difficult when you're thinking about the rotations that can come through from Harvester, Tree, No Name, and everything else in between. It's going to be happening quite soon.
Typical game of Apex here in terms of the level of competition, where it's going to be a slow start. We've seen that game after game. Around 18, 17 squads going into zone number 2, leading into zone number 3. Give a shout out to our sponsors, Turtle Beach Built in Protege. Protege, if you haven't heard of it, it's an app where professionals can find talent, music, and gaming. Today, our Team 20, who's playing with Grayson, actually submitted their clips and got feedback from Grayson. So make sure you check that out. As clean, they are looking clean, but kind of unlucky, I guess you can say, with the loot. So hopefully, in this type of situation, you kind of want to pass the armor off to whoever has the long-range weapon so you can get that armor charged up. But every time we've switched over to these teams, they've gone from gray and blue armor to purple or red armor. So I'm not that worried for them anymore. I was when we first started, but I think they know what they're doing.
Yeah, they definitely know more than I do, especially in-game, of course, as we see TSM quick on the rotation. They're in possession of these 2 buildings just inside of Siphon, so they have a lot of land to play with, too. And you have the balloon as far as movement is concerned. I know that you do have the Valkyrie to play with, but still, that little zipline to have if the engagement does unfold just outside of these 2 buildings might just come into full effect.
That'd
a lot
be
of teams
suicide.
are starting to rotate, and it would be, yeah, but it would be cool, wouldn't it?
It would be. One of the rules is if you go up and you start getting shot up while you're on the rope, you have to drop off. These teams are so good that you are just going to get focused immediately. The redeploy gives you a little bit more room to work with. Kangarna, again, not having the day that they were hoping for, trying to bounce back, still rocking that composition that they were rocking in game number 1, so still feeling confident about that one, but they've been getting third party, they've been losing team fights, they've been caught outside the rotations. The zones they've been predicting have not been the zones they've been hoping for, and it's just been that kind of day for Amu. It throws the barrel, it just bounces right back towards him.
I'm just look up, he's like, what, how? A lot of these different fixtures I didn't even know existed over on these parts of the map, but the setup is still going to be here for the time being from Kangarna. They have to play as safe as possible. They are second to last, just 2 points ahead of Team Shiv, as they're trying to find themselves the engagement. Noxus Gas will go down, trying to find themselves the engagement at Space Station, just running towards the hills, or I guess towards the cracked crevices just outside of this bridge. They will just narrowly get here, dropped, forced to use the dome, and they will heal themselves back up to full.
Looks like he's going to be slow healing. 2 drops, still taking damage while the bubble's down. That's a little confusing as Reptar, speaking of damage, is going to lace him down with the L-Star. Saucer finds the kill, though, throughout all of that, and then Shiny is finding some more. So 2 different fights are going to happen as Complexity is going to eliminate Rig. And then Cloud9 is making a move over towards the Fragment side. So now we're starting to see some sort of fighting after a first slow couple of minutes of this game. Zach is doing whatever he can with this bubble, and this is Complexity who just got done with the fight. Looks like they are going to get wiped from behind. Another third party coming through as well. Great shots coming in from Naughty. It may not be enough, though. It's up to Albarelli, who does take down the last player of Rig. So great job by all of these teams involved. 3 different teams fighting and collapsing on this one, but only one team's gonna walk out. That should be Monsoon, and it is Complexity taking out Albarelli, and Cloud9 is gonna walk out of that Fiesta.
Yeah, but he can't get the resist, though. He had to try to escape with his life because Team Shiv, they start in Overlook. They smelt blood in the water. They saw Nox galore, team fights being secured, but they will find themselves here in 16th squads remaining with a lot of death boxes, with a lot of loot as well. This is a big moment for Team Shiv, who have bitten a very unfortunate bullet for the past 3 games, potentially to start the ball rolling here just a little bit late.
Unlimited resources, like we said, a 3-team fight. It gets cleaned up by Team Shiv. Alliance now on the prowl, on the hunt, crouching like it was Counter-Strike over here, trying to make their way over here. If it was like Halo with radar on, basically, trying to not give any sound cues out. And there it is, trying to 3-2-1 onto Serial. Not enough damage, though. You're going to see, ooh, Shiv with the spray, but also he's going to use his ultimate to try to back off the players, and the scan coming out from Horizon. Team Shiv looking like a force to be reckoned with. Alliance going to turn tail and run.
Yeah, it was a great barrage. It baits out the bubble. It forces the respect that Shiv is inside of this building. You will have to go ahead and take a tag and come back later to this deli because you are not entering this fight for free. Again, all of the loot in the world here for Team Shiv. Got themselves a couple of kills. We'll swap perspectives over towards Team Liquid. Again, playing with fun. Trying to find themselves an engagement just outside of Harvester. Some clean shots to start.
Yeah, Liquid has found themselves in the end zone a couple of times, but not picking up a lot of kills along the way. Maybe this can change the tide with Nocturnal laying down these shots with the 2x L-Star. Feeling good about the position that they're in. Pings are coming down. Also going to hit the jump pad along the way. You can see the big difference in that jump pad after the small nerf that happened. Actually makes a big difference overall in terms of how much height you're actually going. But now they find themselves in the middle of the open. Bubble has to go down. Team Nicewig from the top of Harvester laying down some serious shots. Now they're going to get back on over towards the fence. But you can see this is a absolute sandwich right here. There is no chance of getting out of this right now unless they fight their way out from the Liquid side.
And I think that's G2 on the fence line as well. G2 did find that initial knock. Here comes Gent. Will end up finding themselves the final blow onto knock. And of course, you do have Nicewig's roster up top on Harvester as well. That's awkward. But still going to be a kill regardless. Now, here comes the collapse from Team Nicewig. Some clean shots will come through. Turbocharge Havoc is absolutely a monster if you can land the shots. And Aprizi will buy the space for now.
Unfortunate situation. That's just how it's going for Team Liquid, though. As Aprizi with the long-range shots is going to get some help from Nicewig, and they're going to find Designful, like you said. That was G2 over towards the fence. Defensive bombardment is going to be used, but it's a little bit too shallow as the push is already coming in from Team Nicewig. Space Station Gaming locking things down inside the building. But meanwhile, there is that big battle that was happening on over towards the side. It's going to be a result of trying to answer back. Gentrifying is there as well. Cody's the last one alive. It's a 2-on-1 situation. And they finish it off in the 2 versus 3. Ridiculous plays from G2. They just seem to pull these team fights out of nowhere.
The clutch ability for all 3 of these players for G2 is just something that you could talk about. It's something you could write home, and it's something that your grandma will post on the front of their fridge. G2 is just that squad that you can never count out. They're up there with the greats, like with TSM, what RAG has been able to accomplish in their respective region, and so many other teams as well. There's a reason why G2, these 3 players have been highly respected and talked about since bouncing onto the scene in ALGS some time ago. Renegades playing on the outskirts here of the launch site, just trying to see if they can find any players rotating on in. We know that this is going to be a lava siphon ending, but playing on the outskirts again with these long-range weaponry, you could really punish some teams rotating in.
Keep in mind, TSM predicted this zone very early. They made the rotation from Fragment over towards the buildings. Noble's been doing a great job predicting zones fairly well. Kangarna, a little bit wishy-washy with their zone predictions. Again, that Harvester one was extremely tough to go and call, but you could see where the teams are starting to prioritize and where the teams like Team Shiv that have a lot of work cut out for them are going to have to do is the Rolling Thunder is going to be popped there coming in from Shiv. A couple grenades are coming through over towards the backhand side too. TSM laying down some cover fire, trying to help them out as the longbow is in use. Same with the flatline, but instead of helping him, he's going back and trying to shoot him in the foot. Reps, I thought you were our boy.
I was literally just priming myself too. Reps has a lot of experience with this weapon. You go back to Season 2 playing Watson for TSM back at the Poland Invitational. This was the weapon. Reps was that guy. Maybe out of practice a little bit. Oh, nice little, just unhittable. Unhittable. Unfazable. That is crazy, but Reps will take the reprieve. 40 damage away from purple, and this is farmed armor, by the way, for TSM. Like you said there, Tom, they were able to work their way out from Frag East towards this position inside of Lava Siphon, and they were able to get themselves all up to blue armor. They got themselves a decent amount of heals to play with as well, as Shiv and their roster is starting to work their way up to the backside, going towards that Ramparts position.
The tables have turned for TSM. Now they're going to get an unlucky zone change on over towards the opposite side of Lava Siphon. Meanwhile, Kangarna is going to love that pull. Team Shiv finding themselves in a scuffle with Alliance. If you didn't see the clip from where Alliance won that fight in the previous game, I highly suggest you check that out from Yuki's point of view. Just went absolutely nutty with it. Speaking of nutty, it's Serial with a grenade, Hail Mary Kobe style, as Yuki's now eating a ton of damage over towards the side base. Has to toss the bubble just so they can survive temporarily, but is it temporarily or not as the push is coming through? Meanwhile, Noble finding themselves in a fight with Grayson's team. Shivs laying down the cover fire, and they are going to drop Alliance fairly quickly, fast enough to avoid a third party. Team Shiv now starting to get some momentum, coming in from 19th place, rising in the stocks.
I'm so excited to go back after this broadcast, Tom, and go watch Shiv's perspective from this game alone, just to listen to the war cries, and the war cries alone. This guy, he starts to heat up. It doesn't matter the ping, like we were talking about. The teammates, both of Horizon and Serial, are just playing around to such a high degree. They know when to push these fights, and if you get them in a positioning where they can start finding some early chip damage, to slide on in with the shotguns and the bubbles, yeah, they will absolutely obliterate you. How about Los Jefes, though? Not exactly a team that we've been talking about continuously with False, our hosts of the entire team as well, or the entire tournament, excuse me, trying to find some early shots. It's TSM inside these buildings, so this is going to be a tough fight.
Got to be careful because you want to take TSM down, but you also need to be wary of third parties and the ring that is closing. So time running out for Grayson and Los Jefes is they're going to have to make some sort of portal play or a big push. Those shots are going to really open things up, though. 75 right there onto Rep's going to have to heal as well. Looks like it's the last cell. Is there any batteries in the back pocket? Oh, no. The resources are running dry over here for Los Jefes. They're going to have to do something magical.
They almost have to force a fight. They need to come out on top of it. That's not enough damage to follow up on, and as soon as you try to work your way down the hill towards safety, Snipe Down will roll in with the L-Star and get the knock. Now you're just going to try to head towards the hills, but it's TSM. They got themselves the knock. They want the full kill.
Look at the missile barrage. It's going to land and do some damage to the player that's sitting behind the pills. It's going to be False as the last player alive. L-Star still in hand for Snipe Down. Reps, meanwhile, he's locking things down long range with that longbow. There goes the Thermite onto Gunch, and now False. He's got some false hope here as Scurry's now coming around the corner. Can he get that last kill, though? False right above you, my guy. Oh, no.
I saw that happening just like slowly off the screen. Garda was actually running away from a team down low in this position as well. TSM will recognize that. They will continue to take refuge on the high ground. Pings are also coming through across the train tracks as well. It's going to be Reps that is able to see that. That's got to be Shiv's team. There's only one Bangalore inside the entire lobby, Tom. So it's got to be Shiv's team over that in that exact area. And smart enough for TSM not to give up this stellar positioning, just trying to wait to see because they know Shiv's team has to rotate.
Great lead of the second shot there coming in from Reps. Running out of ammo, though. Only 8 bullets left in this one as he's trying to continue to farm this Evo shield up from a gray to a purple all the way to a red, as the zone is going to be moving in 40 seconds, and they do have pings going down over towards the rock in front of them. If that's the case, they have to heavily focus the teams on the bridge. That's exactly what the thought process is for TSM. Again, they're thinking a couple steps ahead on where their biggest threat is going to come from, and that's going to be Team Ship over towards the side. So heads up play from TSM.
Again, just the poke and the prod is just such a nuisance to deal with, and you got to be considerate of the weaponry that TSM are also playing with as we swap our perspectives down to G2. Again, battling from what is currently 5th position, 21 total points. They want a big game here. NRG, what was the last time that we saw them close to a top 10 situation all day long, Tom, where all 3 players are left alive?
NRG's been in good positions. They just haven't been able to capitalize completely. We saw Sweet was trying to rat things out in the previous game. We saw in the Harvester Circle what their thought process was as well. But now they're in a similar situation where they're going to have to push out into multiple teams. We know that there's teams over towards the high ground. We know G2's kind of ratting it out in a 3-man squad all over towards these rocks over towards the bottom. So this is where the big focus for NRG has to be. That's going to help things out. Sweet with the 60 and also having the battery in the back pocket should be fairly useful, but they're gonna have to advance. Maybe over towards those bins, over towards those boxes could be the potential spot. But look how many teams are in the fray just waiting to pounce on this situation. Sentinels over towards the high ground. Still G2 down low, dropped there with the longbow from Space Station as well. This is where things start to get really interesting.
Yeah, and you saw that with Serial that ended up coming through, I believe, through the jump pad. Will get knocked, so Shiv's team will be down 1 guaranteed. Sentinel's gonna be able to claim that kill plus all the loot as well. Zeta will unfortunately lose 1 player, but Sunset, Simples, what can you possibly do from this specific situation? You're in a great spot to potentially third-party this, but the teams that you're trying to third-party right now, you better hope that you can find an abundance of chip damage.
Every wingman shot really mattering here for Gentrifying. They've been owning this real estate for quite some time, and so many different teams have been focusing them. The only way that you're going to be able to get out of that situation is answering back with firepower of yourself. That's why you can see the triple red armors coming in from G2. They've been active this entire game. 1,300 damage on Designful. Wingman Eva 8 in hand, still holding this zone, trying to fend off Energy. Bubble's going to go down. Energy coexists with the counter bubble as well. And now they get back to square one, holding the opposite side of this rock. G2 in, Energy out. We'll find out which team gets focused right here, but G2 is doing such a good job of staying in the middle of all these teams, but still living.
And they know that they can zone themselves out. NRG, though, they're going to be able to see Zeta. Sunset is going to be able to find 2 knocks, so NRG will push the advantage, and they will be able to clean things up. Nathan walking away with that kill. But still, they have to deal with Zeta. They're trying to reset as quick as possible. Batteries, cells, everything in the back pocket being utilized, and they're also inside the zone as well.
Farmer Lucas is going to find one onto Shiv. He's going to be flushed out by the Sentinel squad. Noble locking things down inside of the trailer, feeling good about their position. Really the only spot with cover right now in terms of having some sort of building is Impulse is going to go with the Beast of the Hunt to try to find out where these teams are going to rotate from. Obviously, the focus is where the zone is going to be collapsing from, so he's going to scan over towards that side. Meanwhile, more pings from Lucas coming in on over towards the southeast side. Plenty of teams still left in this one. 7 squads, 20 players. And Noble right now with the powerful position. Again, Noble has been in the zone for the majority of this game. I mean, zone number 1, game number 1, over towards Dome. They played that phenomenally. They've been putting up some serious points. They just have not been able to walk away with the dub. TSM's been too strong.
Solid shots from the R301. No magazine, by the way, but you're still able to lock down a lot of damage if you could land those shots. Showcasing that phenomenally, but they will eat a lot of damage. Battery has to be channeled here. Impulse has to hold. What's the biggest difference in between a trailer hold the last time that we saw it, Tom? There's no Caustic this time around, but you do have the Wraith, so you can try to TP out and out. You can go into the Void to try to work your way through a couple nades. A Space Station trying to work with some high ground positioning. Denial under a lot of pressure, uses the stim shot to try to get back to safety. Good bubble. But Zenial chiles out from the bubble. They were so low, I don't understand.
And now NRG is going to be taking advantage of all this hectic play that's going to be going down. They're going to find Zeta over towards the side. Rocker's going to pop a battery. Will he be scouted out? He does temporarily, but does get it off. Will they continue to add the pressure behind the blue box? That's going to be 3 players focusing him. That's going to be Renegade's Pow with the shots. Pow is doing such a sneaky job crouching around that corner, being a nuisance for the rest of this lobby. As Sweet's going to answer right back and knock back Slon. Sentinels over with the high ground, feeling so good about the position with the flank coming in over towards the side. Well-placed bubble, as this team is going to be pushing him fairly shortly with the counter bubble. Senox has to hit this battery. Who's going to be the first team to push inside the bubble? Saucer, he's the lone rat right now for the Renegade squad, waiting for this fight to continue to take place. He could still possibly win this one as the fight is now taking place. That's going to be Lou going down first. Rakadishu is going to answer that one. Noble is going to take the advantage in this fight, and the rest of the players are going to be left to scramble as rats, as we know Saucer is still alive and Senox, the final 2 players for their team.
Gonna be a tough spot to be able to play when, yeah, the Eye of the Allfather will reveal Senox with some solid shots. Will knock down Rack. Here comes the Chow. The Eva 8 is out. Finds the crack on at least to the Bloodhound, but the follow-up is just too strong. It will be fully dealt with there as Noble will be able to stand tall.
Instead of playing this as a solo, he was actually able to get the res. Now Renegades with a huge advantage. Noble, they just can't seem to finish the games off. Renegades is gonna take game number 4. What a job by Saucer. I can't believe that he was able to survive that long. Not only that, presence of mind to get the res on the teammates as the fight was taking place. What a performance from Saucer and the Renegade squad.
That's the discipline that you have to look at when we're talking about these professional Apex players. Can I try to push forward and clean up this as a solo, as a third party alone? Maybe, but I'd much rather feel a lot more confident as well if I have my teammates as well. So yeah, great call out there, Tom, to be able to not only recognize the discipline, but it is also the winning circumstance as well. I mean, you can also tip your hat towards a lot of the damage that we saw coming out of the end of Sanoxe to be able to not only find that knock, but the early damage as well, making the third party all the more potent for Renegades. That was a big game for them. I mean, they're all the way down in 15, so maybe they might be able to work their way up and towards a top 5 situation. I didn't see where TSM did get eliminated from and what place that might end up kind of faring themselves out. They have such a big lead, but it might just be enough for maybe one of these teams within the top 3 to try to challenge out, whether it's in the second or first place.
4 games down, 1 remain in the Grayson Allen Apex Invitational. $15,000 up for grabs, presented by Turtle Beach. We'll be right back, and when we do, we'll have that final game for you. Welcome back, everybody, to the Grayson Allen $15,000 Apex Invitational presented by Turtle Beach. Hey, we are 4 games down and we got 1 game remaining. Is TSM going to win this one proper? I'm wondering, I'm thinking yes, but we'll see.
I think it's almost guaranteed at this point, depending on when they did get eliminated. We're still tallying up the rest of the scores amidst the ending of game number 4, but I'm pretty sure that it will be a TSM victory at the end of the day, barring some crazy things end up happening throughout the entirety of that previous game, depending on where the point values are at. But still, Renegades are able to showcase their strengths there towards the end of game number 4. A lot of discipline being showcased and favoring the res rather than forcing out a 3P all solo dolo like, but still nice to be able to see a lot of these teams maybe late blooming like what we saw from Shiv's team there in game number 4, apart from what we saw a very early exit from games number 1 through 3. Ahead of the ALGS right around the corner. Teams are starting to come into their own. They're starting to find their compositions, their rotations, their positionings, and how they're really closing out these gunfights. It is a spectacle to see.
Taking a look at the leaderboard right now, TSM is sitting in first place. They have 58 points. Right behind them is Noble with 37 points. Directly behind them, only 1 point difference, is second and third place. It is Sentinels sitting in third. And it's been consistent. Noble has been playing well since game number 1. We saw again in the Dome area where they were playing fairly strong. I think they got third place overall in that one. TSM took second place, but it was TSM's zone knowledge, the way they're able to predict the zones in game number 2 and 3, and then play fairly strong in game number 4, but taken out a little bit early. The zone did bounce away from them over towards that lava siphon side, so it wasn't that surprising to see them placed that way. But I think the most surprising thing is Team G2 sitting in 4th place. That's a team that we were really hoping to have a pop-off performance. They're going to need it here proper. They're going to need a 20 kill bomb like you were talking about, plus the W, plus TSM not to do very well if they want to go and take first place. It's still doable. It's not TSM's quite yet, so keep your eyes out for Noble, Sentinels, G2, and Team Renegades.
Team Shiv going to have the hot spot this time around, a lot of loot to be able to play with, and well, they were getting wily and aggressive in that 4th game as well, just causing an absolute ruckus. We know that Benchwarmers have been continuously 50-50ing on Frag West, as Madness will pick up this flat line and try to take a look at markets, see if they can find some early damage, but a purple and blue armor off the drop for the Benchwarmers, now that's a pretty nice start.
And they've been taking the fight to construction building consistently. Last time it was taken over towards construction building, it was complexity that takes that dub. But right now, when you're talking about the loot, when you're taking a look at the armors, you definitely got to feel for the side of complexity. Meanwhile, TSM, they've been stuck with Grace nonstop. And oh, hell, getting caught from across the map. He's going to be needing that bubble, boy.
Oh, if you're G2, you're going to love to be able to see that. Maybe there might be some follow-up, but the bubble res will come through from reps. Now we'll try to dive their way back in, but luckily enough, complexity will be that third party, just firing a couple more shots over towards the Benchwarmers, but not a lot to be able to capitalize on, even though you find a knock all the way across Fragment, especially in these high-profile situations. It's not enough to be able to follow up on top of, but Monsoon eats a lot of damage, has to go into the void to escape back to their team.
And he's just a shot away, but Madness isn't able to do that as Monsoon's able to turn the corner, so he's going to be able to full heal, possibly with a Phoenix kit, possibly have to slow heal there as he is going to be hitting some cells. Shiny locking things down on the roof. Reptar covering Monsoon throughout all of this and also hitting the black market. I really think that the reason that they're trying to take this fight over towards the Fragment West side, besides, you know, the fact that it's a tournament and you want to go and take that, it's the obvious reason to me. This is where they're fighting for the ALGS coming in to 2.0. And Benchwarmers doesn't want to give that up. They love the Fragment side. They like the rotations that they're getting throughout all of that. Keep in mind, Madness used to be a Skyhook player. That was where he would take his team on CLG. They landed there for almost the entirety of World's Edge. Now they're switching it up, and they're having to deal with complexity. He used to go over towards the Epicenter survey side. So these are two completely different new teams towards the Fragment West side to begin with.
You know, TSM is always just so happy when they have to share the city and potentially being 3P'd from the opposite side. They don't typically ever traverse over towards Frag West, but, you know, say you have a situation where a longbow is picked up on top red, that's where things can get a little silly for TSM, barring some early shots to come all the way down. But that's a great point to be brought up. Again, because the ALGS is right around the corner, you're more or less fighting for the respect that that's our spot. Depending on where you're at in the games for ALGS, might just be in full effect. And well, it wouldn't be an E-Fuse tournament without some Fuse play. Alliance throwing a wrench into the system.
Grayson, that's not the ring you're looking for, man. You got to get out of there as he's starting to get pushed by Hockeys, and Hockeys is going to hit him with the EVA 8. The fuse is just so annoying to play against. And of course, it's going to be Yuki, who's been dominating on Caustic beforehand, switching on over. Great res though. Grayson's back in this one. Let's see if he has any big heals throughout all of that. Has the battery in hand, needs to get back inside. Yuki is going to continue to push. You're going to see some great cover fire with the PK though. And now the rest of the push is starting to push in on the Alliance side. They're starting to feel the wrath of the EVA 8 coming in on Hacky's hands. But False is the lone player here from Los Jefes. They're going to have another third party, I believe, entering to the fray here very soon. So Alliance has to clean this up quickly.
False is just trying to reset. Hockeys, blue armor and all, into the void they will go. Just prolonging the inevitable at this point, trying to chase it all the way out. But Yuki will be revived here. Big heals on the cards. Wingman shots decent, but not good enough for the knock. Even the elimination as well. Alliance will fully clean up there for Los Jefes. Our host of the entire tournament will now be spectating.
Unfortunate turn of events that all started with an amazing Ring of Fire there from Yuki. Now at Space Station Gaming in a tough situation as we're starting to see fights break out all over the place on top of the map. This is where we saw Kangarna holding down a little bit in the zone that ended over towards that Harvester side where we saw that brutal pull. And now Taskmaster trying to do whatever he can on this Loba. Keep in mind, we've seen more Lobas in here than we were expecting. 2 overall is 2 more than I was anticipating, put it that way. But we've seen some great plays and some great utilization overall. Is it the best and strongest composition? Still remains to be seen. Saw the Valkyrie plays coming out from Hal. Definitely feel like the Valkyrie is in right now. Caustic is in. Space Station Gaming, they're in the zone. But for how long? As the pressure is coming from all different sides of the map right now. Drop does have the scout with the 2x, which is a pretty powerful position with the Gibby. So he's going to be able to poke and prod that team away, but still keeping in mind where the zone is going to pull. This is just a spot where they're going to gatekeep proper and look for kills.
Yeah, and he's got the purple armor now too with the scout. Like you were saying, is a powerful combo with the arm shield. Could drop the purple armor and swap with one of their teammates, but it seems like everybody's just playing with long-range weaponry here for Space Station Gaming. A good spot as well, but you got to keep your head on a swivel because like we were talking about, as far as compositions are concerned, they are on that tried and true comp. The Bloodhound, the Octane, and the Gibraltar, potentially to find a whole lot more towards the middle game and for rotations as well, but it's been trumped, like you were talking about, by that Valkyrie style, and as well as the Caustic, just to be able to all in and hold positions. It becomes tougher once you start really getting towards these tight-knit positions.
Well, I'm excited to see teams kind of adapt and play Valkyrie a little bit more, especially since we know that the nerfs have come on over towards Octane and his bounce pad and also with his stem. So you see the great plays, the passive, the redeploy, so many different things that you get from Valkyrie. But if you haven't seen Hal's clip on how they were able to win Game 3, definitely check that out from his Twitter. Ridiculous points of view and the way that he was able to utilize the caustic gas and the digi threat. But the redeploy goes on over towards the construction building, or red like you like to call it, and fortunately for them, benchwarmers or complexity are not camping there anymore.
Renegades are in a bit of a pickle here, just outside of these cargo containers, but I mean, they can turn this pickle into an absolute delicious snack if they can find themselves a knock. You can see it's going to be Dolphins team inside of this main building, just in front of them. There's also a team just currently housed in the opposite side of Lava Siphon as well. Alliance being able to clean up that eliminations on inside of Dome to Los Jefes. Now taking refuge inside of the launch site. They have purple armors as well. They know that they're not alone in this current position as well, Tom, and right you are, just to be able to play this certain position, to be able to bait out a next engagement, and you know that Yuki is just licking their lips waiting for another Ring of Fire to come down.
Hackies has to be so confident with this gold R301 EVA 8 on the Octane, an in-your-face player with an in-your-face combo. Watch out for Hackies on the map right now. Going back to our leaderboard, this is game number 5. $15,000 up for grab. First place is getting $6,000 overall. TSM currently sitting in that spot with 58 points. Noble with 37 points. Sentinels with 36 in third place. G2 with 28 points overall. Which team is going to be the one to try to take down TSM? TSM knows the score. As long as they don't get out early, if they can just tack on a couple more points, it should be virtually impossible mathematically for these other teams to catch up and they can cash in if that's the case. Team Nicewig trying to get out of dodge though. They're gonna redeploy on out. Breezy is fairly weak. Everybody on the team is just hoping and praying that these shots don't hit. Look at the wiggle womble. It's like they're running from an alligator.
And look where they're rotating towards as well, towards that launch site as well. This is where we saw Alliance currently taking refuge at as well. G2 is going to need a couple shots. We'll quickly spot perspectives over towards NRG, where they will clean up Alliance. Very tough to be able to go out in such a way, but NRG have slowly been heating up as the competition has been going on. They're currently in ninth position, but the 3P is in.
Good bubble there. The Arc Stars were stuck in the corner, so Rocker understands where the Arc Stars were. He's going to chuck a couple of those away from the bubble, and then he's going to get inside of that one. So really nice play, and a heads-up portal there from Sweet. Nathan is going to have to hit a med kit throughout all of this, but the pressure is just too much. Scurry coming in with the knock. The rest of the team's now starting to push on over towards this side. Congarno was taken out of the spot a little bit earlier. You know they're going to want it back. Excuse me. There's multiple teams, though. Nicewig's team is going to come here. Vane's going to answer with a couple of knocks as well, but it's just not enough. And now NRG is going to take advantage of the third party. They go from third party to fourth party to fifth party, and now they're back.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a complete fiesta.
Party animals.
Yeah, gotta love it. Gotta love it, especially for NRG coming into their own since picking up Sweet, just one of the higher regarded as far as an overall Slayer is concerned for their time on Rogue. But we'll swap our perspectives over towards Zeta. They are close towards Cloud9. The bracelet will be utilized so that way they can try to get out from that defensive bombardment. Zach has that G7 scout, gray armor. That will be quickly dispelled of, but Alberlele is so low. You can't all in onto this fight, not until Alberlele gets some heals.
But an amazing Arc Star forces out tasks to the side, and then they focus him as he had to push away from that blue crate. That means Naughty's going to advance. There goes the frag grenade as well. Sunset looking fairly weak. Alberlele is able to re-heal throughout all of this. He's on the Pathfinder, and you know he's going to be sending this one corner as soon as he's able to heal. Amazing job by C9, getting right back into this one and laying down cover fire to take down the Zeta team. I mean, amazing job. Just to reset there, that is not easy to do in the middle of the open. Multiple teams could have been shooting them from all different spots, but they're going to be walking away alive.
Yeah, it's just one Arc Star, one Thermite, one Sky Nade away from going absolutely south for Cloud9, but nothing comes through. It's actually them that are able to come out on top from the engagement from some good nades and some good utility as well to fully reset the fight, not losing a single member. Sentinels, though, under immense pressure. Lou having to full heal, utilizing the medkit right now as Cruss just trying to get back to their teammates. We'll have to force out the battery, but they are on the low ground now.
Not a good spot to be. Couple more percentage until that Valkyrie ultimate is going to be back up. They're going to have to waste about 30 seconds to get out of here, but we've seen teams lock down the low ground and be fairly successful. We saw NRG do it. We saw G2 live for quite some time until they started to get focused. This could be a position where Sentinels wants to hold into the very last second. Benchwarmers taking a look where they're at. Underneath the bridge, not too far from where Sentinels is located as well. So we could see a little bit of a skirmish happening as all the teams are waiting for round number 3 and zone number 3 to show where that one's going to be. Still safe here for Benchwarmers, so no major plays need to be made, and now the focus can go on over towards Sentinels.
This is going to continuously pull closer and closer towards just the southeast side of Siphon, just outside of that Vault Tri-Choke tunnel between Lava City and Launch Site. If you can tell by the canter of my voice, that is a lot of open space where a lot of teams, G7 Scouts, R301s, anything, you name it, can absolutely obliterate players on the rotations. We take a look at TSM. 14 squads remaining. They're in a prime spot to be able to look at this rotation going in towards zone number 4. But there's still a lot more teams that they have to be aware of. They know that there's players still inside of Geyser, and that's going to be Cloud9, and Ref's going to try to find a couple of shots on Alberlele, who's ziplining out.
And they know who's playing on Pathfinder. It's their former teammate who rocked Pathfinder for a handful of tournaments and did it so well. But I love the strategy from TSM. Again, they're so experienced in these scenarios where they've been in the lead and they know they just need to stay off of the kill feed because the pressure's on. The pressure's on Noble, Sentinels, G2 to put up a huge performance. That means they have to play extra aggressive and make some sort of risk. And if they take that risk and it doesn't pay off, then TSM just sits there and watches it all unfold from the outskirts of the zone. So TSM playing this a little bit unorthodox than they would the other games, but still a very sound strategy.
Yeah, it could be also a test as well. I mean, so long as they just continue to exist going past top 10, if nobody eliminates them and they find maybe a total of 5 kills within, say, top 5 situation, I mean, that's the guarantee. When you're thinking about the overall score limits that we're at right now, I mean, it's Noble and Sentinels that need to make the heads-up play. We talked about G2. They got him drop just a bombshell number of kills while also having themselves a stellar position. That's the only way that TSM are going to be upset, so maybe they're just testing the water, see what it feels like to play this composition from the outskirts. You have the mobility from the Valkyrie, you have the all-in potential from Snipedown playing on that Caustic, and the safety with Reps playing on the Gibraltar. So yeah, it's a different look as well as we take a look at Rig inside the middle of the zone, but TSM will now use that Valkyrie ultimate, go high up in the air, see where they try to rotate to.
And typically in game number 5 or the final games of a tournament, it's a little bit more fast-paced. So TSM feeling like if they Valkyrie rotate going into zone number 3, that's going to give them an advantage because there should be a little bit more open space than it typically is as Naughty is going to get that finish onto Knock. Meanwhile, they actually find a fight with Complexity. Snipedown's going to be the first one to go down. Hal's there and Reps are there, but they're taking a lot of damage. This is the opportunity for the rest of the lobby to come back. Now TSM eliminated in 13th place. Complexity, it looks like they're about to be eliminated as well. And the team that's capitalizing is the team in 2nd place. That is Noble.
Monsoon, just a quick little judo kick. Get out of my face. I'm taking this portal, but they will go down from Cloud9. Stay Naughty. Noble, though, this is one of those teams that can absolutely capitalize on TSM that kind of fumbled. They tried to go for that all-in play. They lost Snipe so early in that fight. They could not try to recover. No bubble to be able to try to keep themselves safe. But Noble, the defensive bombardment has come down for that team just outside of the gas as they look to gatekeep them as they work their way in.
This could be huge for Noble. I mean, not only are they looking good in this tournament, this is a team that's trying to qualify for the ALGS. They were on the outside looking in barely as Dudes Night Out, aka Team Intel, was able to take 1st place, but now could be their time to gain that confidence, get that extra momentum going forward, and get that big payday as well as Cloud9's trying to steal some of the kills around the corner. You can see Naughty with the Thermites. He's got 2 players knocked on the ground, 1 player hiding around the corner. That's going to be Alpine going out. Now we're down to our top 9 teams.
Comes one of those zip lines again, and the courtesy of Albert Laley, just able to manipulate the map to such a high degree, and you're playing on this bridge. You have a lot of top-down cover to also play with as well. And the zone too. All of these boxes, the lay of the land. Thermites, give them all to Albert Laley to heat up that rampage and just become an absolute turret. We'll have to see what it has to play out. 35 more seconds remaining before we move our way in for ring number 5. RIG looking to make the play. They're in between a lot of different teams.
So right now, mathematically, the 2 teams that could take 1st place away from TSM, it would be Noble and Sentinels. 37 points for Noble. Sentinels had 36. That's a 21-point difference between what they had with TSM. That means they need the win with at least 9 points. Keep in mind, TSM also got top 15, so they are going to end with 59 points overall. 60 is the total to get the dub. We'll see if Sentinels or Team Noble is going to be able to do so clean, trying to have a say in that. They won game number 1. They're looking for a second one here is Dolphins adding some aggression around the corner. The flanks coming through as well. Multiple players, all 3 players stuck on that door. A Thermite would be huge here.
Oh, the nade coming out. It looks like that they want to challenge this. Nathan off screen will end up finding results with this G2 player down. Here comes the push from Clean. The PK shots are going to be good. There's the first knock, but the trades are starting to come through. Unlucky has to stick the bat, but it snags with the Mastiff. Able to find themselves yet another knock in the position to move on forward to heal back up to full.
Even with the missed PK shots, the team still did enough throughout all of that, but the ring is going to be the arch nemesis for these teams. And hello, it's a 3-man squad. Imagine if you just Kraber collateraled all of them and just sent Noble home. But instead, Noble is still in this one. Rig is still in this one too. They've been doing phenomenal. Renegades, I believe they're sitting in 5th place. They still have a chance. Albrelli still alive on top of that Pathfinder for Team Cloud9. 7 teams, 20 players left in this one, and it looks like 90% of them are in this trailer.
Yeah, it's a lot of battling going inside this trailer. Noble looking to clean things up, but the Arcstar comes through. Sorcerer's going to clean up all of Noble. Their dreams of upsetting 1st place is put to rest. NRG is cleaning up everybody this side of the Mississippi. 4 squads remaining.
I believe Sentinels could be alive still, unless I'm mistaken, but that was just the trailer of death for everybody now. It's going to be C9 making their way over towards there, and they're going to be so surprised with the amount of loot that is there. Meanwhile, G2 Remember, they locked this down earlier too. This has always been their strategy for these zones, but last time they were focused by so many different teams. It made it so difficult. Very similar situation this time, but with less squads, so they do have a little bit more room to breathe.
And they're Sentinels. There's your answer, Tom. They are still alive, looking pretty darn good. Lou looking for the off angle. That's going to be taking a look at Cloud9. And again, if there's a team that is left alive in this lobby that can potentially upset TSM for that first place, it is only the one hope here for Sentinels to be able to walk away with the win in an abundance of kills, but they're playing it rather split, looking to find any sort of resemblance for an engagement.
The problem with Sentinels right now, I haven't seen them in the kill feed that much, so while their positioning is great, they still need a fairly big kill total in order to get the dub. From my calculations, right around 10 kills would tie them with TSM overall for that first place standing, and I believe they would take the tiebreaker on the TSM side for the highest amount of points in a single game, as we have had them win 2 games overall. But it's still not over for the rest of these teams too. We'll see what G2 is going to be able to do. They are sitting in 4th place. They're still in the running as well to try to get inside the top 3 area and get some more cash, as well as the thermite is in hand for Elbrilla. He's burning them, baby, and the bubble had to come out.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to at that point, too. You might just be able to full send this. I mean, depending on what Naughty has as far as a portal is concerned, the zipline is out. The engagement soon to follow.
And it's going to be on top of Sentinels. Everyone's going to be collapsing on this once they see what the kill feed is actually like. That's going to be Crust getting a knock, and it's going to be answered right back with Naughty and the L-Star, but the rest of the teams are there. It's G2 coming to try to clean things up. Great spray coming through, but it is G2 with the win. Is that enough overall to catapult them into first place? They were down a total of 30 points. It's going to be fairly close. It's going to be 31 points that they need because TSM finished inside the top 5. We're waiting for the pop-off game from G2. We got it in the final game.
Yeah, and they were finding a lot of kills since the beginning of the game, too. Every single time that the kill feed just started just blowing up, I mean, G2 were finding themselves some knocks, finding themselves some slow kills, going all the way through from the rotation. But you brought up a good point there as well from Sentinel's perspective. The same could also be considered when we're talking about G2. How many kills did they truly find? Is it enough to be able to battle all the way up towards first? I'll sit there and I'll say probably not, because they had to play slow and play for positioning first and foremost. But I'm no mathematician, Tom. That's why we got to let the scorekeepers go ahead and do their thing so we can go ahead and see who's going to be able to potentially upset TSM, or if they walk away your champions.
It's going to be so close. We're going to take a quick break. The admins are going to do their job. I'm glad that's not my job. Math is...
We got to let the scorekeepers go ahead and do their thing so we can go ahead and see who's going to be able to potentially upset TSM, or if they walk away your champions.
It's going to be so close. We're going to take a quick break. The admins are going to do their job. I'm glad that's not my job. Math is not my strong suit. We'll be right back, and we'll have the winner of the Grayson Allen $15,000 Apex Invitational presented by Turtle Beach. Welcome back, everybody, to the Grayson Allen Apex Invitational. $15,000 being awarded today, presented by Turtle Beach. We just got done with all 5 games. Proper is pretty lit.
Yeah, it was that was a zany ending for game number 5. We saw a lot of crazy closures to all of these games that we had. We had TSM dominance for back-to-back matches, quick rotations, everything that we were almost expecting. Composition changes. The patch just hits differently, Tom.
And we also have the real star of the night. It is Grayson Allen. Grayson, can you hear us?
Yeah.
All right, well, didn't go as well as you hoped. I saw you in the ring of fire at the end. I kind of told you that wasn't the ring you were looking for. How you feeling?
That was the last game was rough. That was the roughest one and the one I was most hyped for, so that felt bad, but not much I could have done there. No, it was really fun overall though. It was really awesome for me to be able to play in a tournament with all these guys.
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest with you, I mean, who was honestly expecting Alliance to come out with a fuse pick of all things in game number 5, just to all in any team that they possibly saw. It's awesome to be able to hear that you had such fun with this. Maybe you could shed some light on some of our viewers and some other players that are out there, whether they're looking to get into competitive Apex or just enjoy playing ranked as well. We know that you're an overall Slayer. We know that you can make it to being an Apex Predator as well. What are some of the stark differences that you've noticed in between a high-octane lobby with all these pros versus what you deal with on a daily basis?
Oh my gosh, like rotations and finding the right spot and positioning is everything in these type of games. I think even as you like graduate up ranks in Apex, like you can get by in Platinum and Diamond just going out and going for kills, but once you get to Masters, Pred lobbies, and then especially in comp, like your rotations are so important. And so in this game, like it's very frustrating to get killed rotating, and you think back at all the things you could have done differently, but the teams who have the best positioning win the game, and that's why these guys are so good. They can anticipate the circles, they find good rotations, and get to the best positioning they can.
Was there any team or player that you kind of were running into consistently that may have been giving you a little bit of a handful compared to other players or teams?
I think we ran into TSM twice. I think they killed us game 1 and game 3 or 4. They were pretty consistently in the spot that we wanted to get to. So, and I'm pretty sure that's why they're so good. We were running into them a lot, and then that last game, of course, Alliance just pulling up on us real quick.
Saw you chucking some Kobe's across there, trying to get the frags out over towards TSM, and then you ran out of cells, and I was like, oh no. I was like, Grayson's gonna have to pull out something magical here. Then all of a sudden, L-Star to the side from Snipe Down for like 110 or 120. Overall, what do you think of where Apex is right now, and what do you think of kind of the meta? You're noticing a lot more Valkyries and Caustics. Do you think that that's gonna be where the Apex is going?
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy to see all the different like lineups teams went with. I know TSM with Val, Gibby, Caustic, but honestly for Val gives you a lot of flexibility for rotating, and then you also get her passive when you're in the air, being able to see pretty much marking enemies so you can see an open spot to land. So I think that's really helpful, especially when the zone pulls away from you. You can kind of rotate in late. You don't always have to be the first one there. You can kind of play the outskirts. But I think there's a really good balance right now from like early comp where every team had, it seemed like a Wraith, Path, and Watson, and now you see so many different team comps, so many different ways to play the game, which I think is awesome and really fun to watch, and then allows for teams to make a lot of great plays out there with the different abilities of characters.
Grayson,
Well,
this isn't the last we're going to see of you, though, right? Like, you're going to come back with a vengeance in the next competition, right? You're dropping bombshells next time we see you, right?
Yeah, this kind of... I wasn't... like I said earlier, I wasn't planning on playing, but this kind of started the comp itch for me. So
love that.
Yeah, I'll definitely try to make my way into another tournament.
G3 is going to be lighting up the lobbies. Hey, Grayson, you're the man. Thank you so much for putting this on. And while we're here, I'm going to read the results to you because the chat has been dying to hear these. So we had 15K that was awarded. Big shout out to all of our sponsors, Turtle Beach, Built, and also Protege. 6K is going over to TSM with 60 points. Second place, G2, 4.5K with 47 points. 2.1K going on over Cloud9. 1.5K for fourth place over to Sentinels. And then fifth place was Team Noble, Grayson, absolute blast, man. Any last words or shout outs that you want to give?
Big shout out to the sponsor of the tournament, Turtle Beach, my partner, Built, partner with them, Protege. Um, Incredible job by them by helping me put on this tournament. It was awesome to kind of run a contest through Protege to fill out this 20th team that I played for that Gunch actually won by spinning a clip. That part was a lot of fun. Big thank you to eFuse for helping put on the tournament. And this was a lot of fun, and we're definitely going to try to do another one, so be on the lookout for that.
Rock on, man. It was an absolute blast. And, thanks again for putting this on. But hey, that is it for the Grayson Allen 15K Apex Invitational. Congrats to all the teams, especially to TSM for taking first place. And you're not done seeing more of us. Hopefully there is going to be another one coming down the road. But like Grayson said, thank you to Turtle Beach, Built, Protege, the players, the community, eFuse, and the production team for putting this on. Everybody have a great night, and we'll see you again.
Great job, guys. Today went really, really well.